All right, the candidates who want to be California's next governor will meet face-to-face tonight, right here on News Nation. Our coverage starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Central, with 2 Republicans now in the lead. According to recent polling, tonight's debate could be make or break for Democrats ahead of the general election. Mills is here with all the new details. Mills, it seems as though right now this race is pretty wide open.
It certainly is, especially for the Democrats. And for the first time, Markey, in nearly a quarter century, there's no frontrunner in the place to be California's next governor. California is one of just a few states that uses a nonpartisan primary system, meaning that the top 2 vote getters in the June 2nd election advance to the November election regardless of their party. The latest numbers from Nexstar and Emerson College polling has President Trump's pick, conservative commentator Steve Hilton, in the lead, with Republican Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco second. So it's possible that no Democrats make it to the...
Good morning, good afternoon, I should say. It's 11:46 in the morning, but some of you guys might be afternoon, but good day, everybody. Apologize for being a little bit late, but I'm here for you guys to share some good stuff for you guys. There's always something to share. These Democrats are full of shit. Like and subscribe. Let's go.
The general election in a usually reliable blue state. Hilton and Bianco both tell News Nation that California is ready for change.
Why would you expect a different result if you keep voting the same way? The answer for California is not another Democrat. It's a completely new direction.
California is looking for something different. It cannot be a Democrat. If Democrat policy and Democrat agenda wanted to make our state better, they would have done it a long time ago because they have complete control.
It's dying prematurely to air pollution and other problems, and the state could lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
That's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles, it's that we don't need to make this any Paris climate accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot. Okay, I'm going to start again with electric vehicles saving us money.
Start. Thank you, Frank.
Ms. Porter, you've acknowledged that your interactions with an aide and with a reporter captured on videos which went viral were, in your words, a bad look, and that you could have done better. What have you done to address those concerns? And as a person who frequently speaks about being a parent on the campaign trail, what would you tell your own kids if they ever faced a boss like that? You have 60 seconds.
I apologized that day to that staffer 4 years ago.
So we got to talk about woke California Democrats who are currently struggling.
Is she on Ozempics? It's like she lost some weight.
Ugly in the race to become the next governor. It seems as if the election was held today, it is likely that a Republican would end up being the governor of California because
subscribe
is basically a system where the top 2 vote getters advance to the general election. And right now, the top 2 vote getters are Republicans. And this debate right here was supposed to help Californians make up their minds about which Democrat they want to become the next governor of the state, because it is assumed that a Democrat is going to be the next governor. If a Democrat can actually crack the top 2 vote getters in this primary. However, I'm not so sure that this debate really helped out any Democrats, because to me, this debate showed that all of these Democrats are Looney Tunes, right? They're all crazy people. Like, for example, they were all asked, what grade would they give Gavin Newsom's handling of homelessness, which we know is an absolute, complete, and total disaster in California. $20 billion spent and homelessness went up, right? More people became homeless as a result of all the money spent on fighting homelessness. Democrats decided that this is a passing grade, right? That this is acceptable. Okay, every Democrat on stage gave Gavin Newsom at least a B, right? With Republicans giving Gavin Newsom an F, right? A failing grade. I think that this should tell you everything you need to know about the current state of the Democratic Party.
What grade does he get on homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
Frank, I would say that the governor has made efforts We've seen him come down to Los Angeles, actually go out and try to clean some of the streets. On effort, I would give him an A.
What grade would you give him on homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
I'm a notoriously tough grader, but I would probably give him a B on homelessness. I don't think this has been an easy problem to solve, but I do give him a lot of credit for calling attention to the problem. When he campaigned 8 years ago, he was talking about housing when nobody else was.
Well, by the way, I'd love to be in your class, Katie, if you get a B for what Gavin Newsom's done on homelessness. My goodness, of course it's an F. It shames our state, the situation with homelessness. We have about 10% of the US population, around 50% of the country's homeless population. And as for Javier praising Gavin Newsom for the photo op where he tried to pretend he was cleaning up a homeless encampment, literally Gavin Newsom did that 3 times in a row. Nothing changed, and nothing will change if you have one of these Democrats in power. It will be more of the same. My plan is a common sense 3-point plan. Number 1, it is illegal to live and camp on the streets. We need to enforce the law. Number 2, we need to get people.
Yeah, he's right. They had people in Chicago, immigrants sleeping in the police station, outside the police station. That makes no sense. They supposed to protect and preserve, not babysit. We gotta do better, man. Stop voting Democrat. It's okay. It's okay to change. Like and subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.
Into the drug treatment that they need, and it cannot be a choice. Number 3, we need to get people the mental health care that they need instead of the barbaric situation we have right now in California as a result of these Democrat policies, where the main place where we're treating people with mental health problems is jail. That has to change.
Mr. Hilton, thank you. Ms. Porter, Mr. Becerra, I'll let you respond, but I just want to clarify the second part of my question. Do you think the governor has done anything right on homelessness?
No, everything has taken us in the wrong direction. That's why we spend, State Auditor found $24 billion of our money spent on homelessness. They have no idea where it went because it's going into these non-profits and crony developers that are, instead of solving the problem, they are profiting.
Okay, Mr. Hilton, thank you. Your time is up.
Yeah, that was spot on there.
Beautiful Bill. Good afternoon. Had a late start. Had to take care of some stuff around the house. When I get off, I'm going to go and cut the grass, but I'm glad you stopped by, everybody.
By Steve Hilton, right? He was 100% right. But also on top of that, Katie Porter claims to be a notoriously tough grader and gave Gavin Newsom a B for failure. Amazing. She's tougher on her staffers than she is on Gavin Newsom. Incredible, right? Absolutely incredible. So with that being said, I want to play this clip here that I think is a great example of just how out of touch and insane the Democrat Party is, the modern day Democrat Party, because let's be real, these Democrats represent the modern Democrat, right? This is what you get when you vote Democrat. Insane woke lunacy. This question right here is about English proficiency tests being taken in order to get a CDL. And apparently, according to Democrats, this is about racism, hate, and bigotry instead of about highway safety, which, again, I think is a perfect encapsulation of the modern day Democrat Party and their ideology. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Mr. Bianco, you are the only law enforcement officer on the stage tonight. Should this type of roadside testing become standard practice across California? And what should happen to drivers if they do fail? You have 60 seconds.
Well, we have to, first off, acknowledge that we actually do have rules and we actually do have laws. And if they are not abiding by those laws and California is giving them driver's licenses when they do not qualify for those driver's licenses and we're sending them out onto the streets, we also have seen several horrific accidents that were attributed to people that did not understand English or that could not comprehend the road signs or the street signs that they were supposed to be abiding by. So we don't know the context of this. This is what's super important, especially in law enforcement. You have to know the entire context of this entire stop and this entire video, not just the small section. But if he is verifying whether or not someone can read signs, my guess is he was stopped for violating a sign and he's trying to verify that he could. And let's stop with this whole racism thing and racial profiling and all of this garbage. We have to get over this. You either violated the
Right.
law or you
You
didn't.
broke the
End of
law. Fraud is bad. You broke the law. Consequences. Accountability. Come on, you guys. We got to do better.
End of story. Consequences for bad behavior.
Ms. Porter, same question. Do you believe that English proficiency, language proficiency should be strictly enforced for truck drivers? You have 60 seconds.
I would absolutely fight the Trump administration
Oh
because
my
the job
gosh.
of the California governor is to protect Californians. And right now, that includes protecting them from Donald Trump.
That's all they got is stop Trump, stop Trump, stop Trump. What is your real policies, Democrats?
Protecting Californians also includes enforcing traffic laws. And we've seen sometimes a need for oversight in California. For example, we have seen that the Department of Motor Vehicles was not enforcing rules around DUIs and drivers who had convictions for that. I am stunned that Mr. Bianco would say to Black and brown Californians and immigrants who are being terrorized and racially profiled that you have to get over racism. It's not something that you get over. It's something that you fight. And if he doesn't understand the importance of that, he has no business representing a state with the diversity of California.
Wow. Incredible.
Wow, wow, wow.
Absolutely incredible. First and foremost, I think that Katie Porter is hitting the Ozempic, right?
I just said that. I said she hit that Ozempic. I said that, didn't y'all heard me?
She started getting that Ozempic look, right? The face getting all shriveled up. You can tell the difference between Ozempic-led weight loss versus like regular normal weight loss, right? With regular normal weight loss, I don't think your face gets so shriveled up the same way that you see, people who lose weight using Ozempic. The way that their face is like, it's kind of weird, right? It's
Sunk in.
Like it sucks your face dry. I don't know. Maybe it's because they're rapidly losing fat and it's coming from the face. I don't know, right? But what I do know is that her answer.
Subscribe. Oh, wow.
Insane.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
One cried racism.
Let's get to 2,000 subs. 2,000 subs. Why
We're
not?
talking about being able to read road signs, which is essential for being able to drive safely on the roads. But apparently, Katie Porter believes that the actual real threat to the safety of Californians is not the people who can't read, speak, or write English driving around in 18-wheelers. No, it's actually Trump. It's Trump taking those people off the road. That's the real threat. The real threat to Californians is Trump taking people off the road who should not be driving. Amazing. Because racism, hate, and bigotry is bad. Right?
That's my other video I just did this morning.
That is how captured the Democrat Party
Check
is.
it out. Check it out.
She can't stand up for something as basic, as common sense as, hey, let's make sure that people can actually read road signs before we put them on the road, right? With dangerous vehicles, heavy vehicles that are killing people. Let's just do these basic things.
Thank you.
She can't stand up for that because she's afraid that the mob may, lash out at her.
Let's do it. 2,000 subs. Let's get it.
Right? She's supporting racial profiling. And this is why crime is out of control in these liberal cities, in these liberal states. This is why there's so much chaos and destruction. It's because wokeness is the underlying core ideology of these politicians, and that leads to chaos, right? When you believe that, hey, we shouldn't adhere to common sense because we don't want to be racist, again, right? That is what it leads to. It leads to chaos. It leads to illegal immigrants on the road driving 18-wheelers, right? Killing folks. With no emotion, by the way, right? No emotions felt. Just killing folks. Just another American dead. Who cares? Right? It's crazy, man. It really is. I don't understand how people vote for this. I really don't.
Ms. Porter, thank you very much. Mr. Bianco, I'll give you 15 seconds to respond.
Yeah, again, that's not even close to what I said. What I said is we're Californians, and I'm speaking for them, especially from law enforcement. When I deal with persons of color every single day, Californians are absolutely sick and tired of our politicians making race the basis of everything. It is not. And this racial divide that they are pushing between law enforcement and the public, or Democrat and Republican, absolutely has to stop. And I'm telling you, we are sick of it.
Should the CHP be giving English proficiency tests to truck drivers? And if not, would you as governor push back against the Trump administration on this policy? You have 60 seconds.
I would definitely push back on the Trump administration on, again, a reckless policy. I would make sure that that officer understands that he cannot discriminate against any driver without having a basis to do so. I understood a little bit of what that individual was trying to say. I couldn't see the signs, but it certainly sounded like he was trying to describe what that particular sign was trying to represent. And so we have to be very careful that we're not profiling consumers in California, drivers in California. It is against the law. And our police officers, while they try to do the best job of keeping safety, have to understand they have to abide by the rules and treat everyone, every motorist, the same way. And so if that officer had some basis to be qualified, let's take a look at that. But let's not find that people are being discriminated against because of what they look like. Is that officer asking everyone he pulls over to explain those road signs, or is he asking only people who look like me? And if he's doing that, then he's violating the law.
And I just want to clarify, do you think CHP should be giving English proficiency tests?
As far as I know, the Academy does not train CHP officers to be giving English proficiency exams. So that officer has some explaining to do.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Hilton, would you require full compliance with the federal language standards for truck drivers? You have 60 seconds.
So I've discussed this with someone called Marcus Coleman from Bakersfield. His beautiful daughter, Delilah, was put into a coma by someone driving a truck. An illegal immigrant, didn't speak English, and his daughter now disabled for life. That's what we're dealing with here. It is completely ridiculous that we have people driving on our roads who can't understand road signs and can't speak English. So, yes, of course, and I've discussed this with my friend Sean Duffy, the Transportation Secretary, we will not be issuing commercial driver licenses when I'm governor to people who are illegally here and who don't speak English. That is obvious common sense.
Mr. Hilton, thank you. Frank.
Mr. Steyer, where do you draw the line on this? Should language proficiency for truckers be strictly enforced, even if it means that some of them will probably lose their jobs? You have 60 seconds.
Look, I agree with what was said, which is we don't know the context of this stuff. But what I can say is this: racial profiling is illegal. And in fact, picking on people based on the color of their skin in the state of California is illegal. I have a program for ICE that involves prosecuting them for racial profiling, prosecuting them for violence against Californians and the supervisors, studying, investigating their detention centers, having legal defense funds for people who've been kidnapped and put in those detention centers, and a Know Your Rights PR campaign. Listen, what we're talking about here is whether police officers and the criminal justice system treats people fairly based on the color of their skin. I will say this: Donald Trump posted against me last week because I said ICE has to obey the law in California. The head of ICE posted against me, but I'm not going to step back, because the truth is racial profiling is illegal, violence is illegal, and the governor of California needs to stand up for Californian citizens every time.
Mr. Steyer, thank you.
If they are immigrant illegally crossing the border and got in, they have no rights. Send their ass back. They got no rights. No disrespect to them, but they don't got no rights. Send their ass back and come back the right way.
And as a mayor of a city in which 42% of the residents are foreign-born, do you believe that English proficiency tests for truckers are necessary? You have 60 seconds.
Yes, so we can stop pressing 1 for English. What the hell? This is America.
Frank, the right answer here is clearly to hold the DMV accountable for ensuring that every driver on our roadway meets the qualifications for the license that they have. That's the appropriate entity to do this. And as the mayor of not
thank
only
you guys, thank you.
big cities in the country,
almost at 2,000. Let's get it.
City in the country. Let me tell you what creates real public safety. It's rooted in trust. When people trust the law enforcement officers who serve the community, it means that residents are more likely to report crime, to serve as witnesses, to provide evidence. We made San Jose the safest big city in the country by building that trust between law enforcement and the community that they serve. That will be my priority as governor, but we should never lower the standard that agencies like the DMV enforce. As governor, I will also ensure that every state agency lives up to its responsibility.
Clark, yeah, so you have one Democrat that actually came close to getting the answer right here, right? And let's be real, he really didn't answer the question directly, right? He said, well, we should make sure that the DMV is holding people to, the highest standard in order to, give out these licenses, which is, it's an okay answer. But the answer to the question is, should we have English proficiency tests, right? I think the answer to the question is yes, right? I mean, this is not a gotcha.
Clarification, English proficiency, 15 seconds. Exams?
The DMV has exams, and it's not about whether or not you speak English. I represent one of the most diverse cities and the safest city. What the DMV is responsible for doing is not testing how good your English is. It's whether or not you're a safe driver who understands the rules.
It's a yes or a no, right? The clear answer is yes, right? None of these Democrats can really say yes with a straight face. Most of them start boo-hoo, whining, crying, hating bigotry. But it's like, I'm not entirely sure how is it that an English test is racial profiling, right? How are you racial profiling when you're talking about trying to make sure that people can read road signs, right? This is basic safety stuff. But it just shows you how disconnected the Democrat Party is from reality and how their ideology guides everything. All of their policy, everything they believe in, is all about appealing to a bunch of woke lunatics, a bunch of freaks, right, who care about race and gender and sex and all this nonsense over common sense. And that's the Democrat Party. That's it. I think that, again, this segment, this whole debate is a great example of the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Are Republicans perfect? Absolutely not. They're not perfect. There's a lot of flaws when it comes to Republicans. But, I mean, on most issues, right, I can say that at least, Republicans are, adhering to common sense, okay, for the most part. Democrats can't even adhere to common sense on basic stuff. Biological girls versus biological boys in sports. Nope, right? Can't do it. Can't do it when it comes to illegal immigration, when it comes to giving out CDLs to migrants, things like, nope. Can't do it. Crime, nope. Homelessness, nope, right? Gavin Newsom gets a B. Complete and total failure, right? B, according to Democrats. A, passing grade. He's been amazing. Even though he's been a complete and total failure. So I think that answer's clear here, right, for Californians. I mean, seriously, is this state going to actually really take a chance and to go in another direction? Seriously, are they going to try something different? These people have to be tired. Oh.
You got to be.
It's time for midterms. It's time to be honest with yourself. I know this for you people that's in college. They're teaching you some really bad stuff right now. They're teaching you how to hate your country. Don't listen to them. Listen to God. Listen to God.
Tremendous Ted, that's what's up, man.
Democrats
want
you to vote Democrat without getting nothing in return. Now they want to talk about some reparations. They lie. They're not giving you no reparations. They gave you reparations to illegal immigrants.
They got his ass beat up. Damn.
The game is over. You're not black if you don't vote Democrat. Man, look, it's over. Let's be honest now. The Democratic Party is not for us. If you are against abortion, you shouldn't vote Democrat. If you are against boys and girls sports, you shouldn't vote Democrat. If you are against boys competing with girls, you should not vote Democrat. If you are against higher taxes, you should not vote Democrat. If you're against boys and women's spaces or girls' spaces, you should not vote Democrat. If you're against kids' sex changes, you should not vote Democrat. If you are against open borders, you should not vote Democrat. If you love America, you should not vote Democrat. They do nothing for America. Think about it. The only thing you heard was Trump. These grown people that we pay in Congress couldn't say nothing about a policy. The only thing they talked about was Trump. What are we paying them for? To talk about Trump? Yep. Or to make laws to make American lives better? They're not doing nothing for us. In fact, the only people you hear about is illegals. That's the only thing you're going to hear them fight for is illegal immigrants. We have to stand together as Americans and make the right decision. It's not about, oh, I hate Trump and all this. Stop doing that. Think about America first. They are trying to destroy America. And this is facts. Check it out. See what they're doing. They're not doing nothing to help America. And they're making it obvious when they refuse to stand up to show that they put American citizens over illegal immigrants. That should have been the last straw. Pay attention. They've shown you exactly who they are. Your family members, your leaders, they always told you action speak louder than words, and their action showed what they feel. Midterms, let's keep Trump in office. The Cubans, Venezuelans, Iranians, come on now. Y'all see what type of leader we have. Y'all need to come together by droves and keep Trump in office. We need to vote red.
This brother gets it. He's absolutely right. Everything that he said when he went down that list, if you are against it, you cannot afford to support the Democrat Party. To all the black folks out there that think reparations are coming, it's not. It's not. And to be honest with you, stop focusing on it. Focus on.
Yeah, reparations was there. They went to the illegals. Period.
Getting your piece of the American pie. It's out there for you to get. When you look at, folks in this country, it's not
over
a situation
10
where you
years.
don't have money.
Yeah.
It's not. But when you look at what the Democrats are doing, look at where they lead at. Look at every place where they are in charge. They're overtaxed. Businesses are, fleeing. Small businesses are going out of business. Schools are terrible. And the people are in a worse situation than folks actually want to admit. It's the truth, man. The sooner people realize that, the better off they'll be, though. Seriously, this brother was cooking, and people need to listen to this man. Seriously. The Democrat Party is no longer the party that is for America. They're for a globalist Marxist agenda. Ultimately, they want this country destroyed. They're anti-Constitution. They are anti-free enterprise, anti-capitalism, anti-small business. They are pro-tyrannical government and overtaxation without very little representation. Simple as that. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel.
There is a reason that black liberals come hard after black conservatives, because they feel like if you are not voting Democrat, then you like white people, which just goes to show you that the whole movement on that left side is to hate white people. So I don't understand why white people keep voting for Democrats. I don't understand why white people consider themselves liberals when the whole movement on that side is to hate the white man. This is why they call black conservatives sellouts and Uncle Toms, because you over there voting and you supposed to be over here with us protesting and hating white people, but you over there having white friends. White people on the left, I understand that you have white guilt. I understand that you have a white savior complex, but honey, you are voting for your own demise, because them folks over there can't stand you. They hate white people with a passion, and they hate anybody who even speaks to white people, which is why they hate the black conservative. But y'all keep voting for them.
Right.
It don't make no sense.
Subscribe. Thank you.
That white guilt.
Shouts to Nakia, man. She's a trip, but she's absolutely right here as well. You have a lot of folks out here, that are supporting the Democrat Party because they think the Democrat Party is the same Democrat Party from, the moderate types, from the 90s, I guess. Now what we know on this side of things, man, the Democrat Party, they hadn't changed much. I mean, they have been the party of the Confederacy, Jim Crow, redlining, you name it, it's them. The most destructive organization in the country. Let's just keep it a buck. I mean, the Democrat Party has taken more lives, directly and indirectly, than any other organization in this nation. You can just look it up. It's crazy, what's going on. And when you look at, what's happening in these cities around the country, somebody sent me something the other day. And it said
All
that
right. Thank you.
in the city of Chicago,
2,000
which is,
subs. Let's
no
get
matter
it.
who, almost 100% ran by the Democrat Party. There were more deaths in the city of Chicago, over the past couple of months than there were deaths in an actual conflict, a military conflict over in Iran. Make that make sense, man. Make that make sense. You can't. Again, everywhere these people rule, I mean, it's some of the most destructive places on the planet. I wanted to showcase this to you guys because, even over on the continent of Africa, you have, a lot of the African brothers and sisters out there, who are in lockstep with the president and the conservative movement.
So what is the overall feeling about President Donald Trump on the continent of Africa? President Trump is surprisingly much beloved in Africa, and people don't realize this. Part of the reason why President Trump is beloved in Africa is because he's got a strong opposition to abortion. People feel like he probably is not pro-LGBT rights. People are very religious in Africa. Many people are religious, either Christian or Muslim. And so they feel that President Trump represents those conservative values that they agree with. Obviously, President Trump has made some decisions that affect Africans moving to the United States. There's a lot of visa restrictions, the aid cuts that affect the USAID. In Cameroon, where Pope Leo is right now, maybe 600,000 people might not have food in the next few months because of the aid cuts that affect USAID and foreign aid by the United States. But overall, I think when I go around Africa, people like President Trump. They like that he speaks his mind. And they remember him from The Apprentice. Interesting. It was very well syndicated across Africa.
It's hard to dislike someone who tells
Trump is a fool.
Says, hey, this is what we're going to do, and actually doesn't sugarcoat anything, loves the nation, wants to put the nation first. They're thinking about the future of the country. It's hard to not like that. And even, those in Africa, and they have their issues, over there with their own leaders and their own people. But they can see, that, hey, you got a straight shooter, you got someone that's a conservative, you got someone that loves their country, and you got someone that, wants to see people live, opposed to, some of the wicked things that, Democrats have been pushing, especially, when it came to Obama, going over into the continent of Africa, telling them that you're not going to get certain money if you don't push certain agendas, in their nation. It's a trip, man. But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts on any of this? Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. Join us Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for ARP in the morning. And as always, keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you guys next time. Peace.
It is God who arms me with strength. Yeah, I'm battle ready. He trains my hands for battle. My
Series naval blockade, naval heat, and the air power heat in the Strait of Hormuz is turned up to level 11 during this fragile ceasefire. In the last 12 hours, the U.S. seized another
We didn't lose Virginia. The Supreme Court stepped up, so Virginia's not lost. We good.
Additionally, our minesweepers
I had to take care of stuff around the house. I'm not done. I got to cut the grass when I get done.
Results of Tuesday's congressional map referendum. Third breaking story, this affecting your vote in the special election. A judge in Tazewell County has blocked the state from certifying the results of Tuesday's congressional map referendum. A majority of votes in the special election went in the yes column for redrawing those boundaries. The vote was a win for Democrats in the Commonwealth. However, the judge said the vote was unconstitutional and entered that injunction. Virginia Attorney General Jay Jones said his office will appeal the decision, saying that Virginia voters have spoken. And of course, we'll follow this story throughout the course of the night.
Persistent eye in the sky and making sure that we trust but verify what's going on in those Iranian ports, and that is really pressuring the mullahs in Iran. You can tell they're sweating. They're obviously in a position where now they're trying to meet that leverage with other leverage. So that's why we're seeing them release this new footage with their IRGC Navy taking this ship. Oh, and welcome to this random pop-up outdoor studio. We're out traveling right now, and the power at the Airbnb windows are firing back hard.
Yeah, they voted for it, but come on, man. It's supposed to be evened out. Was it supposed to be 5-5 or 5-6? Now the Democrat Party supposed to get all 10 seats. That's crazy. That's unfair, especially when everybody's voting Republican.
President
Democrats thought they had finally done it. They thought they had pulled off one of the most audacious electoral power grabs in American politics. They ran a ballot referendum. They hid the actual map from voters. They raised over $60 million. They brought in Barack Obama. They ran wall-to-wall television ads. And after all that, they barely scraped by with the narrowest of victories, 51-49, in a solid blue state to boot. But no matter, they popped the champagne, they declared victory, and then within literally hours, a judge hit them like a freight train. Make sure to stick them to the very end of this video, because not only is the Virginia gerrymander scheme now legally on life support, but we're going to see how the redistricting wars are just getting started, and it's the Democrats who are poised for colossal and humiliating defeat. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness with breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, the midterms are already being framed by the same outlets that got the last cycles wrong on purpose. My Patriot Alerts keep you 2 steps ahead of their talking points with no corporate filter. Click the link below and join the alerts today so you can see the real story before the pundits try to script it. All right, let's dive right in here. So here's where we are. As you know, this past Tuesday night, Virginia voters passed the Democrats' redistricting referendum by less than 3 points, even after dumping tens of millions of dollars into the election and dragging out Obama's corpse to champion it. The referendum barely passed, but it did. And what that now allows for is Governor Abigail Spanberger and her Democrat legislature to scrap Virginia's current congressional map, a mathematically near perfect 6 Democrats to 5 Republicans, and replace it with a monstrosity that would produce a 10-1 Democrat advantage. Now, keep in mind, a 10-1 Democrat advantage in a state that voted for Kamala by just 5 points. A +5 Democrat state, handing the Democrats 10 out of 11 congressional seats on a map that the voters were never even allowed to see, all in the name of protecting democracy.
Right. This is the video I did this morning. Check it out. Check it out. Hope you guys like it. Not too long. 7 minutes and 49 minutes. It's good. You'll like it. Check it out.
And the Democrats were singing from the mountaintops. They thought they were on the doorstep of flipping the House majority before a single midterm vote was cast. The borderline illiterate Hakeem Jeffries was practically dancing. And then all of a sudden, it all came crashing down. A Tazewell County Circuit Court judge issued a final order blocking certification of the referendum results entirely, ruling that the referendum and the bill that created it were flatly unconstitutional. Not just technically flawed, not just procedurally messy, blatantly unconstitutional on multiple independent grounds. The court ruled that Democrats violated Virginia's own constitutional rules for amending the state constitution. So, bottom line, in order to amend Virginia's constitution, which this gerrymandering referendum does, the measure has to pass in 2 separate legislative sessions with an intervening election in between. So it would have to pass in a legislative session, say, in October. Then you have to have a statewide election in November. And then if voters still want to go with this, right, the measure would then have to pass another legislative session in, say, December or January. Obviously, the Democrats didn't do that. There was no passing of the measure before Spanberger was elected to office back in November. They just blatantly ran this through a single special session and rushed it to the ballot before any election could serve as a
You hear that, Brian? You hear what he's saying? Is he lying, Brian? I don't think he's lying.
Democratic check on the process. That alone is enough to sink this illegal referendum. But the judge didn't stop there. The ruling also found that the ballot language itself, the actual question voters saw on the ballot,
Subscribe. Let's get to 2,000 subs.
I'm quoting the judge here directly, quote, flagrantly misleading. The question asked voters whether they wanted to restore fairness in upcoming elections. Restore fairness. For a map that was going to produce a 10-1 Democrat advantage in a state where Democrats barely win? So the court found that ballot language did not accurately describe the amendment that was actually passed by the legislature, meaning voters were asked to approve something they were never honestly told about. In other words, they were lied to in writing.
Welcome to the chat, Pierre. Yeah, this chat is wild, man. I got some wild people in the chat. They've been around for some months now with me in this, so forgive them. But other than that, everybody's welcome. Let's enjoy and let's learn from each other.
Court order has officially blocked state officials from certifying the results of the April 21st special election. And here's the key: permanently.
Arnold, good morning. Well, good afternoon, Arnold. Thank you.
This is a judicial kill shot pending appeal. And what's so hilariously ironic is that now it's the Democrats who are flipping out. Oh, I kid you not, they are flipping out over activist judges. That's what the white witch Spanberger is saying. She's saying Virginia voters have spoken and no activist judge should have veto power over the people's voice. Can you believe? I mean, this is beyond delicious. So, Ms. Spanberger, what do you think about voter ID in elections? 80% of the people want it, and yet... And again, note how tone deaf she is. Virginia voters has spoken with flagrantly misleading ballot language about a map they were never allowed to see after a process that violated the state's own constitutional amendment rules. That's the people's vote they're defending. Former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli, one of the sharpest legal minds in conservative circles, he weighed in and said that he thinks that the legal process is going to move at lightning speed here. He thinks we're looking at a final ruling probably in May. And his read is he thinks the courts, ultimately the Virginia Supreme Court, are going to strike this down. But if you can believe it, it gets even worse. Because waiting in the wings is Florida's new congressional map, which is poised to deliver the kill shot, not just for Virginia's flailing redistricting efforts, but for the Democrats' hopes in general for November. Wait until you see this. I know you keep telling yourself at some point in the future you're going to buy and store away a few dozen gallons of water just in case an emergency hits your family and the water shuts off. We've all experienced it. You know, the storm hits, the faucet stops working, and we're left wondering how long it's going to be before we have drinking water again. Every time it happens, we kick ourselves for not being more prepared. Well, here's an easy step that you can take that costs less. Water here, as it were. The mud puddle, the bacteria pathogens, and getting a few of these pure water straws is a no-brainer. It's the most logical next step, both for your peace of mind, but also from an investment price standpoint, because normally these are ready to recalibrate their congressional representatives to reflect that dominance and make Virginia pay for their desperate antics that have thus far failed. So right now, they're at 20 Republican seats and 8 Democrat seats. The new maps they're working on would give the GOP at least 2 more seats, but more likely 4 to 5 more seats, given what Virginia just tried to pull off. And the Democrats know it. They know how this could be a game changer. So Hakeem Jeffries stupidly thought it would be a good idea to pick a fight with Ron DeSantis, but he quickly found out just what a clown everyone knows him to be.
Our message to Florida Republicans is F around and find out. They started this war, and we're going to finish it.
Please be my guest. I will pay for you to come down to Florida and campaign. I'll put you up in the Florida governor's mansion. There's nothing that could be better for Republicans in Florida than to see Hakeem Jeffries, everywhere around this state.
And it's not just Florida. I think this is what's really starting to freak out Jeffries and the Democrats as a whole. The Supreme Court's ruling on the VRA, the Voting Rights Act,
is poised to strike down as unconstitutional upwards of 19 Democrat districts in solid red states. That would obviously be absolutely huge if we factor 4 seats in Florida's redistricting and just say a conservative 12 seats with the VRA struck down. The Republicans are looking at around a solid 230 seats, given they're 218 right now, just using that as the baseline. So they would be a permanent congressional majority at that point. And all of this is just a harbinger for what's to come with the 2030 census. The political realignment projected for 2030 is absolutely insane. In addition to the seats we're picking up in Florida and throughout red states with the VRA struck down, red states are poised to gain yet another 12 congressional seats, as well as 12 electoral votes after the 2030 census. Texas and Florida alone count for 7 of those new seats, which means that the GOP would have a permanent majority of upwards of 245 to as high as 250 seats for future presidential elections. Republicans would only need to hold Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, their so-called Sun Belt trio, to reach 270 electoral college votes without needing any traditional Rust Belt swing states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So, bottom line, these redistricting wars, in many ways, have already been won. So be patient. Let the demographic shifts play out and have complete and total confidence that the math guarantees that at the end of it all, we win. Friends, listen.
Give me a second. There we go.
So on our show yesterday, you said the language used in this.
Today was all doom and gloom for Republicans because of the redistricting in Virginia. Today, maybe a day that these celebrations stop after voters narrowly backed a redistricting proposal that would eliminate all of the Commonwealth's Republicans in Congress except for one. A state judge stepped in, halted certification of the results because the misleading language in the wording of the measure.
So the outcome now leaves the future of Virginia's congressional map uncertain as the case heads into further legal review. For more on all this, we're joined now by our senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. So on our show yesterday, you said the language used in this was misleading. We just heard from Congressman Addison McDowell. He said it was very confusing. What do you make of this in this ruling?
The judge said it was very confusing. Yeah. I mean, as Mark pointed out when we discussed this yesterday, the language in the referendum itself was a piece of propaganda, which you rarely see and you're not supposed to see in a voting booth. But here's the issue. That language should have been challenged before the vote, so that it could have been corrected. By waiting until after the vote, I think this is the way the Virginia Supreme Court will rule. The challengers sat on their rights. They waited too long. Now, this particular judge, who in my opinion did the right thing, was restrained by the Supreme Court once before when he tried to prevent the Democrats from doing this by legislation. He said, you can't do it by legislation. The Supreme Court said, let them do it however they want. They decided to do it by referendum. But this is more than a referendum. It's a constitutional amendment. It's almost unheard of for the judicial branch to stop the people from amending their constitution. That's
Pass the Save America Act.
The other way to look at it is it was blatantly partisan. It was overwhelmingly partisan. It was promoted and intended to deny a good section of Virginia voters their right to be represented in the Congress, which is a constitutional right. Who's going to resolve this? Supreme Court of Virginia. And when are they going to resolve it? They better do it soon, because nominating petitions are due and a primary is coming up.
So is that is that another way around this? The Supreme Court, which leans slightly conservative in Virginia, could just take their time and at least avoid this issue during the 2026 midterm cycle if they let this play out. And then you have to worry about it for the next elections after that.
That would be a dereliction of their duty, in my view. They need to rule on this. They either need to say the challengers waited too long. The judge is right, but this should have been resolved before the election, or this is so partisan we're going to negate it. That's a big deal for the Supreme Court to negate a popularly enacted amendment to the state constitution. But it's also a big deal for the politicians to trick voters into voting for something they didn't think they were voting for.
So I want to shift gears to a New York Times report that's out saying that the FBI investigated whether one of its reporters, Elizabeth Williamson, violated laws against stalking after she wrote a story nearly 2 months ago about how federal agents had been assigned to protect and give rides to FBI Director Kash Patel's girlfriend. So at what point does a journalism investigation cross those lines into allegations of stalking?
The stalking statute is very clear. It requires an intent to harm, and the exception to that is free speech. So in my view, the FBI was profoundly wrong to investigate this reporter. Reporters should not hesitate to do investigative journalism about people in the government for fear they're going to be investigated by the FBI. The FBI can't investigate whoever it wants. It has to have what's called articulable suspicion. They have to be able to articulate what the crime is. She was aggressive in her reporting. Okay, good reporters, we know them, are aggressive in their reporting. That doesn't make them criminals. That doesn't give the FBI the opportunity to investigate. Does the public have the right to know that the FBI director was using government assets to transport his girlfriend? Yes, it doesn't mean.
Yeah, Zach is a bot, man. He gonna call you a maggot. Maggots all throughout this whole thing. That's crazy. That's how he is.
It's wrong, but the public has the right to know. Fortunately, saner heads in the DOJ prevailed and said, thank you for this investigation. We're not going to go anywhere with it. Okay. So it's over with. But there's the potential chilling effect.
Right.
There's the potential for other investigative reporters saying, do I really want to go through this? Maybe I shouldn't do this story. They shouldn't have that hesitation because the Supreme Court has ruled the press, that's us, are the eyes and ears of the public when examining the government.
Florida Congressman and leading candidate for governor of the Sunshine State, Byron Donalds, joins us live now for more on this. Congressman, even though this referendum has been temporarily blocked, as a Republican, how concerned are you about what Virginia did here?
We're a little bit concerned, obviously. Even if you read the ballot language that Virginians had to decide, it was the most convoluted, confusing thing I've ever read in my life to ever be on a ballot, and it was by design because Democrats are incredibly radical.
Thank you guys for being in the chat. Really appreciate it.
The chance to win this November is to do these insane gerrymanderings. Where, I mean, look what they did to Northern Virginia. If you look at their new map that they want to push forward, they basically take pieces of Northern Virginia and strip those pieces out to the suburbs in rural Virginia to make Democrat seats. I mean, this is insanity that's what they've done. And it's not the first time they've done this. Look at the Illinois map. Look at the Massachusetts map. Democrats have a history of doing these radical gerrymanders just to make sure that they have seats and they preserve power. So the judge, I think, did the right thing. If you look at that ballot language, that's just an insane way to tell the voters what you're going to do. It made no sense just to any layperson reading it. And so I think that's why the judge struck it down. We'll see what the state Supreme Court does.
Yeah, Congressman, you've been very vocal about...
Zach, it's my first time. Zach, really? You real funny today in the chat. This is my first time playing anything from Newsmax. So there's no talking points from Newsmax. I just played it today. And you've been here. You know I haven't played Newsmax since I've been going live. This is my first time.
Florida potentially redrawing its own maps in response. I think that might actually happen next week, as early as next week, with a special session of the Florida legislature. What do you want to see come out of that? And Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader, threatened Florida if they do this, which I find to be comical.
First of all, knowing Ron DeSantis, our governor, and the people in our state, nobody is thinking about anything that Hakeem Jeffries has to say. He can run his mouth, but it won't matter. I think the governor, what he's going to do with our legislature is very clear. They're going to go back, look at our maps, and make sure that those maps represent the will of the people of Florida. And if you look at our state politically, our state has trended more and more Republican. I will add that we still believe that the census that was done by the Biden administration actually cost the state of Florida an additional congressional seats. So I think some of that is going to be in play as well. But I think the governor and the legislature are going to address this. We'll see what they come up with. I know they're going to work very hard and do what's right on behalf of the people of Florida.
Yeah, real quick, Congressman, to follow up. Would you expect that to be a radical redistricting like we saw in Virginia, or do you think it'll be a little more subtle with maybe a handful of seats?
No, I wouldn't anticipate that. As we've done these redistrictings in the past, Florida's always made sure that communities are contiguous. I would assume that's going to continue, but that's something where the governor and the legislature are going to make that determination.
Right.
The members of Congress up here on the Hill, we're not playing into the details of that.
So I do want to shift gears back to the Hill and the partial shutdown of DHS, because we're more than 2 months in now. There is some hope. The reconciliation bill passed in the Senate in the early morning hours of today. Now it's on its way to the House, as you know. But will House Democrats get in the way again?
No, they're not going to have an ability to do that with budget reconciliation. What will happen is it will come to the House will pass it out, and we'll fund the Department of Homeland Security. I think it's important for the American people to understand just how radical the Democrats have become on this issue. They have told our TSA agents, nope, we're not going to pay you. They have told our customs agents, these are the people who are checking packages, checking shipments coming into the United States, checking for narcotics, making sure they're not killing our people. The Democrats said, no, we're not funding that. The Democrats have said, no, we're not going to fund our border agents. The same Democrat Party that left our borders wide open, letting tens of millions of people come into our country illegally, letting the drug cartels make billions of dollars trafficking people into our country. That was brought to us by the Democrat Party, and this shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security, again, threw our borders wide open to the drug cartels and the coyotes. These are the priorities of the Democrats. So I would say going into the midterm elections, the American people need to think long and hard and remember what this country looked like 3 years ago when you had full Democrat control. It was insane. It was chaotic. It was crazy. And the American people were the ones who were left to suffer while Democrats had power and control here in Washington, D.C.
So, Congressman, before we go, I'd like to get your quick reaction to another radical Democrat, Senator Chris Murphy. He should be regretting this tweet when he celebrates awesome for Iranian ships dodging the U.S. blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, he's hiding behind it, calling it sarcasm. He was actually cheering on Iran. That's what Trump derangement syndrome is doing these days.
Thanks, Arnold.
That was sick. You have a sitting United States
Thank
senator.
You, Arnold. Thank you, Arnold. Appreciate that. Thank all of you guys. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it.
This is how far things going. You're right. You called it correctly.
Make sure you guys like, share the channel, and also subscribe. Subscribe and share. Thank you.
Trump derangement syndrome has broken a lot of brains up here on Capitol Hill. Obviously, Chris Murphy's brain has been broken a long time ago.
This is
the craziest thing I've ever seen. How can you sit here and pledge allegiance to our flag and take an oath to uphold our Constitution, but then you're going to cheer when the Iranians try to elude us? This is nuts. It's crazy. He's got a lot of things to answer for, not just to the United States of America, but to his state, because that's just obscene. Never seen anything like it. And it's, to me, very ridiculous, disgusting, and it is indicative of the mindset of Democrats on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, it would be like Republicans celebrating Al-Qaeda when Obama took out Osama bin Laden. It didn't happen. All right, Congressman.
Okay, Sandra, I'm glad you came in the chat. Like and subscribe.
Byron Donalds, great to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us.
One new map, but now a Virginia judge has struck down the entire thing, so there's going to be a huge fight. This could be a Supreme Court situation. We'll get into that. Then why have I been surrounded by so many horrible people during the course of my career? this Hassan Piker guy from the Young Turks, who is he is like the leader of the Democrats right now, and he is a LARPing revolutionary communist who's probably worth 12 to 15 million bucks, but he wants you to get out there and steal some stuff and take from those and wreck the system and burn it down and figure out how to buy a drone online so you don't have to suicide bomb and a whole bunch more. And then we'll get to a few other things. Let's just dive right in. So, as you know, Virginia had this referendum. They decided to redistrict. It was a very close vote, but they decided to redistrict, going from 6 to 5 Democrat control in a very, very purple state, right? And the only reason Virginia's purple, it really should be a red state. It's purple because of the amount of blue people that live there because of the proximity to D.C., right? If you don't want to live in D.C. proper, a lot of those people who are all Democrats, big government, sort of like if you think of like the deep state type people that are perpetual people that live there, they decide to live, they don't want to live in the DC proper, so they moved to Virginia, right? So that's made it a purple state. So for years, their congressional map has been pretty fair, 6 to 5, pretty fair in a pretty much 50-50 state. They have this referendum. It goes 10 to 1. That's over 90%, 10 to 1 Democrat favor. Now a Virginia state judge has turned it back, but it's causing a whole big fight. So here is Timu Obama, and I am telling you, I call him Timu Obama because he's just knockoff Obama, like he watched Obama videos and tries to replicate him and pretend that he's him, and he's not very good at it. But I really, really believe he is a humanoid robot. He is a Gen 1 humanoid robot. Like the Optimus robot that Elon's working on has not gone commercial yet, but when that thing comes out commercially, supposedly at the end of this year, it is going to be far more lifelike than this man. But here he is, and he's pissed at Florida. That's right, he's pissed at all of us because DeSantis is willing to fight fire with fire, and if you guys are going to redistrict, we might do the same, and we are very, very red here, and it will not work out well for you. Here is robotic Timu Obama.
Our message to Florida Republicans is F around and find out.
15 points just last year. We were all surprised at the margin. And, the yes votes stand at about 51%. The no votes stand at about 48%. That's just a 3-point difference in Virginia.
Hold on. What just happened? I got you guys.
If they go down the road of a DeSantis dummy mander, the Florida Republicans are going to find themselves in the same situation as Texas Republicans, who are on the run right now. And under no circumstances are Texas Republicans picking up 5 seats. They'll be fortunate if they get 2 or 3. While in California, we are going to get all 5. The Republicans are dummy mandering their way into the minority before
about 48%. That's just a 3-point difference in Virginia, whereas you defeated your Republican opponent in the governor's race by more than 15 points just last year. Were you at all surprised that the margin of victory this time wasn't larger?
I wasn't. Virginia is a purple state, and my election in November, that was the outlier number. I was campaigning all across the state for a long period of time.
So she just admitted out of her own mouth that Virginia is a purple state. So let's think about this. She just admitted that Virginia is a purple state. And now she's working to redistrict that state to make sure that Democrats get 90% of representation in the House. It's a purple state. Democrats get in control, and they're going to hijack the system to ensure that they get 4 extra seats, completely decimating Republican representation in the House in that state. These people don't care about democracy. They don't care about fair. They don't care about morality. They care about winning. Here's another example of how they care about winning. Watch what she was saying when she was running.
Short answer is no. Certainly, Virginia, by constitutional amendment, has a new redistricting effort that was put in place and first utilized after in the 2021 redistricting. Certainly, I've been watching with interest what other states are doing, but I have no plans to redistrict Virginia.
So let's go through this. Let's make this clear. I'm going to take you through these steps. First step, she's running. She says, have no plans to redistrict Virginia. This allows more moderate people to feel more comfortable voting for her. Then she wins the election. Within 30 days, she signed legislation enabling mid-decade redistricting. Within 30 days, it was actually about 20 days. And now we're looking at her on CNN talking about the victory that they're having with their redistricting vote, with a nice little smile on her face. They do not care about being moral. They do not care about being virtuous. They care about winning, and they will lie directly to you to ensure that they win. Winning is the priority. That's all that matters. And what they've kind of did is they set up a precedent that, hey, if you're in a purple state and you get control, you might as well just max that thing out as much as you can to get as many seats in the House as you can. Don't worry about any of that. Just max it out. They're kind of setting that precedent. It's different if it's like Texas or California or Florida, like a state that's not purple. It's kind of more understandable. When you do it to a purple state, on top of that, they actually didn't do this process right. They skipped, or they did not do 5 of the required things for constitutional amendments in that state. I'll likely be covering that in an email I'll send out either probably today or tomorrow. Abigail Spanberger in the governor's race.
The short answer is no. Certainly, Virginia, by constitutional amendment, has a new redistricting effort that was put in place and first utilized after in the 2021 redistricting. Certainly, I've been watching with interest what other states are doing, but I have no plans to redistrict Virginia.
That right there was Abigail Spanberger in the governor's race, trying to win.
We'll vote as cash because they started this war, and we're going to finish it.
These people are extraordinarily horrible. Like, they have no principles. No principles whatsoever.
Subscribe. You guys haven't? Why not?
Awful.
2,000 subs. Let's get it.
At this point, I think they largely hate America, and I don't even think that's hyperbole. Republicans are not great for the most part. Florida Republicans are pretty great. DeSantis is pretty great. Like, there are some gems out there. But he's basically saying, when we do it, it's okay. When we gerrymander, we're very excited. We got this result we wanted. Put aside the judgment for just a second. We got a result we wanted, and when we do it, it's great. When they do the
voters have the power to choose their politician by ending some of the partisan gerrymandering, so that all voters have the power to choose their politicians, not the other way around. In April, Virginians can respond by making sure your voting power is not diminished. This amendment gives you the power to level the playing field in the midterms this fall. This is the responsible thing to do.
See, one thing about Democrats is that they care about winning. That's it. They care about looking virtuous and winning, which is why you can see Barack Obama walk all over his words and now tell people in Virginia that the responsible thing to do is to vote to allow the government to gerrymander the districts. Currently, Virginia is one of the most balanced states in the entire country. There are 11 House seats. 6 of them are currently going to Democrats. 5 are going to Republicans. Democrats want to gerrymander this and take it 10-1 in favor of Democrats. So right now it's around 55% to Democrats. They want to take that and turn it to 90% for Democrats. And what's crazy to me, rather than saying, yeah, we really don't give a shit, we just want to win, I could respect that more than them acting like they're virtuous about it. Because they do this and then they still act like they're being virtuous. No, you guys are not virtuous. You are playing the game to win. And you're willing to disenfranchise half of your state to do it. Just say that. Again, they want to take one of the most balanced states with one of the most balanced electorates and turn it into essentially a Democrat stronghold in the House of Representatives. Again, 10-1. These people don't care about morals. They don't care about virtue. They care about virtue signaling, and they care about winning. So if you're in Virginia, go vote no. Work hard to not let them do this. Go vote no on the redistricting effort. I cover many topics like this in my newsletter.
Exact same thing. It's evil. It's dummy mandering. It's so freaking boring. This is why people check out of politics and can't take it. And also, he's just so overly scripted with his little phrases and no human emotion. And I'm telling you, if you cracked open his face, there would be a little alien inside. Run, get me the picture of that alien. I love that little alien from Men in Black who was. And anyway, Mr. Florida Man himself, Ron DeSantis, is very excited that Hakeem might be focusing on our free state a bit more.
This guy Jeffries popping off in Washington about Florida. He wants to be Speaker of the House. And he's kind of like, more liberal than Pelosi and all this other stuff from New York City. I just want to know, Florida can't do, we're going to go.
Brian, stop it, bro. In Illinois itself is gerrymandering to death. Literally, Illinois is. And this got to stop, man. You know, Illinois is a blue state. Not cool.
Go after Florida. Please be my guest. I will pay for you to come down to Florida and campaign. I'll put you up in the Florida governor's mansion. We'll take you fishing. We'll do all this stuff. There's nothing that could be better for Republicans in Florida than to see Hakeem Jeffries, everywhere around this state. Now, I kind of feel bad for the guy because he's as left as they come. He's always going left. And yet the far left hates him. You know, they call him a dollar store Obama. They call him AIPAC Shakur, all these different derogatory names that they do. And so he's tried to ingratiate himself with but they're just not drinking the Kool-Aid. And so they give him a hard time. So I kind of feel bad for that. But please be my guest to come down in Florida. We would love to have you.
Republicans nationwide, if you're watching, that's what you want to do. Throw it back in their face every time. I actually believe DeSantis when he says that. Like, okay, Timo Obama, you want to focus on Florida? You want to come down here? I honestly believe that Governor DeSantis would open up the guest wing up in Tallahassee and say, you're welcome to sleep here. I will take you fishing myself. I'd like to take the guy on a ride for the Everglades, just the two of us, but, you know. Anyway, here's the picture of the Men in Black alien, and I'm just telling you, this is what's going on inside his head. See, and also note, the alien has no genitals, so it's definitely a Democrat, and it lives inside Timo Obama's head. But DeSantis did make another point, which is that Hakeem Jeffries he's doing the slightest little dance where he's not full jihadi yet, but he's right. The base hates him for that. So he's just not, all he is just more and more government. When we do something, it's good. When you do something, it's bad. And I would say as a Floridian, bring it. And I would also say as a Floridian, Ron DeSantis, go ahead. Let's redistrict the hell out of everything. You know what? I know they can make this same argument. It's not the correct argument. They can do the same thing. We are not in normal times right now. There is a party that plays by no rules, that not only plays by no rules, but tells you that they don't like the rules anyway. And if they had enough power, they would rip up the rules. So to whatever extent.
Right. We voted for Trump. Now they want to impeach him. Make it make sense. The man, all 4 years, they want to impeach the man already. Because they can't get what they wanted.
When we have power, we can do things in our favor. And when it's in our favor, it's in everyone's favor, right? Because if Florida redistricts, what's our district? What are our numbers right now? What's our congressional breakdown right now? It would go, if he redistricts, it sounds like it would go to something like 28-2 or something like that. We'll get the numbers right now, which are obviously heavily in Republican favor. What is it? So right now it's 20-8 right now. So it sounds like it would go it would be about 26-2, something like that. The point is, if we did it here in Florida, Florida would end up being safer. Florida would end up being more fiscally sound. You'd be sending better people into DC to clean things up. And that's the complete reverse of what the Democrats do. But now let's pause on the Florida portion of that, because that hasn't happened yet. Let's get you caught up on what happened yesterday, because it sounds like this 10-1 map is going to be thrown out, or at least temporarily delayed. This is from Fox. Virginia court declares state's redistricting vote was unconstitutional in legal win for Republicans. Virginia Attorney General Jay Jones said the ruling from an activist judge will be immediately appealed by his office. So I am not I'm not a constitutional lawyer, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm fully familiar with the Virginia state constitution, but at the moment, a judge, I keep saying federal, a judge from Virginia is saying that the whole freaking thing here was set up the wrong way. We're putting a pause on it. Now here is Timo Obama, and he's very upset, and look at him emote about it.
How would Democrats respond if the Virginia nonpartisan Supreme Court does ultimately shut down this new map and find the referendum illegal?
The law is with us in Virginia. The facts are with us in Virginia. And the people are with us in Virginia. There's no basis in law or fact for the Virginia Supreme Court, under the Constitution that exists, particularly in the aftermath of a people-approved referendum, to do anything other than to allow it to move forward. Susan?
he's like a low-grade ChatGPT. It's just incredible. But he says,
Timu Obama.
The prepackaged way he speaks, the
Timu.
law is with us. What was the second one? The facts are with us. The people are with us. First of all, on the people side, it was barely passed. That's number one. The facts and the law, well, apparently a judge, who I would imagine is a little more familiar with the law, doesn't agree with that. Apparently, the judge's argument has more to do with the process, and the lower court found constitutional violation. So we will see about that. But the point is, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. If anything, what Timu Obama and the Democrats would love is that if a lawyer finds that this whole thing was unconstitutional and makes an argument for it, even if it's completely airtight, in a weird way, they would love for that to happen if it got reversed, because then they would see the courts didn't do what we want. And if they don't do what we want, that means they're illegitimate. So when we get back to power, we're going to have to, well, we'll disbar some judges, we'll pack the Supreme Court, et cetera, et cetera. But look at what, putting aside judges, law, and anything else, look at the abject insanity of what they were trying to do here. So take a look at these maps. So the first map, or the top one there, is how Virginians vote. So it's largely a red state. Now, interestingly, it gets bluer as it gets closer to DC, as I illustrated before. Now, it's largely a red state. The middle one shows you what they have had, the 6-5 districting, right? So, okay, it's mostly, you're going to get more people, even though there's more red there, you have more people in those blue areas. That's why it was 6-5 to Democrats. Then what they did via this election was 10-1. And does that seem right? So just forget the middle one for a second, which is the fair one. 6-5 in a state that's basically 50-50. 6-5 is pretty close to 50-50. The top one, in terms of where people live and the sprawling population all over the state, it's a very red state with little blue pockets. And now look at the bottom one. They've decided to turn it all blue. So does that seem fair? Does that seem right? Does that seem like a way a state and a country can operate over time? And by the way, some of you may be watching and going, but Dave, the Republicans do the same thing. We'll have more on that in just a little bit. Here is Scott Jennings explaining that what Virginia had with their 6-5 split was quite literally the fairest map in the nation before all of this.
Virginia literally had the fairest maps in the nation. They had a 6-5 map, 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. In terms of proportional representation, they had the fairest map in the nation that was drawn, by the way, by an independent commission that the voters asked for just a few years ago. Now they will have the least fair maps in the nation. And I'm not surprised that the yes vote won. They had all the money and all the lies. And sometimes in politics, when you got those two things,
I am old Greg. I didn't show them in the chat before you got in how the redistriction is unconstitutional. But you got some people in the chat saying that it's fair. It is what it is. I'm going to keep on showing the truth. Like and subscribe.
You can put something over the line, even something as egregious as this. This whole thing has driven Spanberger's approval ratings down into the toilet. She lied to the people of Virginia.
Subscribe.
They had to write a ballot question that was a joke. They drew maps that were a joke. Now you're going to have huge chunks of rural Virginia represented by 5 or 6 Democrats who all live in Northern Virginia within about 15 miles of each other. It's a complete joke. Everybody knows it. And there's a reason that all these Democrats and all their money came into Virginia, because they don't really care about the people of Virginia. They just care about power.
Yeah, as usual, Scott just laying out basic facts. So yes, Spanberger lied. We played the video yesterday when she was running, said she would not redistrict. That's number one. Politicians, they lie. Okay. Number two, the ballot, we showed it to you yesterday. Can we pull it up again actually real quick? What was the ballot itself that people voted on, where it basically was like, if you want to restore fairness or something like that, because they worded it in a crazy way, because a lot of people walk into the ballot box and you just go, I don't know that much about this or that. I see all these things. What does the little caption say? They give you like a little review of what you're voting on, and they worded it in a very, very sort of duplicitous question. Should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to temporarily adopt new congressional districts to restore fairness in the upcoming elections? I mean, that's so Orwellian, it's beyond imagination. First off, temporarily, and as Ronald Reagan said, there's no government program that is temporary. They're all all ultimately permanent. He said there's nothing more permanent than the temporary government program. And then, of course, to restore fairness. As Scott just pointed out, you're basically a 50-50 state that had a 6-5 map. Now you wanted to go to 10-1. So did they restore fairness? And then he also pointed out, and this is what I said earlier, when you look at those maps, the places the Democrats live are basically right next to D.C., very clustered. But overall, if you look at the entire state, it actually is red. So this is a blatant, in-your-face power grab by the Democrats. And now watch them gloat. Here is awful human being, AOC.
What do you make of Republicans saying that Virginia, you guys getting
Wow. Listen, Democrats have attempted and asked Republicans for 10 years to ban partisan gerrymandering. And for 10 years, Republicans have said no. Republicans have fought for partisan gerrymanders across the United States of America, and these are the rules that they have set. And so if the Republican Party wanted to start this, they did this in North Carolina. They drew out 3 Democratic members of Congress in North Carolina. They drew out in Texas. They redid Texas. What they're just mad at is that they have been accustomed to a Democratic Party that rolls over, doesn't fight, and takes everything sitting down. And what they're mad at right now is that we are here in a new day.
Okay, I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I will give AOC a little something here, which is that both sides do things, right? They both do things, and as I always say, Republicans aren't great. They're just a little bit better than the Democrats. Then you have some all-star Republicans, Trump, DeSantis, et cetera, et cetera. But I thought you might find this interesting, and we did fact check. It is correct. Look at this image. This is states with 0 Republican seats. So Massachusetts, it's 36% Republican. They have 0 seats. Connecticut, 42% Republican, 0 seats. Maine, 46. That's almost half. And New Mexico, almost half. New Hampshire, almost half, 48%, 0 seats. Rhode Island, 42. Vermont, 32. Hawaii, 38. And Delaware, 42%. All 0 seats. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 states right there that, roughly, let's say 36 to 48% of the population is Republican, and they have 0 seats. And then the Democrats went to a purple state that was the fairest map in the nation and tried to swing it 10-1. How can this work over time? How can this work over time? It cannot. It cannot. Do we have video? We keep showing video of Barack Obama lying about different things and changing his opinion depending on whether he's in power or not. This is a different one, but it's the same concept. 2015, Barack Obama.
The process of political gerrymandering, I think, is damaging to Congress. I don't think the insiders should draw the lines and decide who their voters are, because I think that and Democrats and Republicans do this. And it's great for incumbents, but it means over time that people aren't competing for the center because they know that if they win a Democratic primary or Republican primary, they've won. So it pushes parties away from compromise in the center.
My God, am I agreeing with Barack Obama? What happened to that guy? Yeah, you were right back then. Of course, now you got... Well, again, it's hung up by the courts, but you got the result you wanted in Virginia, and you were tweeting about how spectacular it is, and oh my God, we're saving democracy and everything else. Here is Princeton political scientist Lauren Wright on CNN calling out some of the other panelists because these are all Dems and lefties, because it's always 7 of them versus 1 sane person, and apparently they're against what Obama just said right there.
Democrats have passively sat by as Republicans gerrymander?
Well, it's not that they actively sat by. They used to say this is a threat to democracy. You don't get to choose your voters. It should be the other way around. I mean, Obama gave very compelling remarks on these things. And so was that a lie? No. Or, okay. No. So it's okay to threat.
You said Obama was the best president Iran had? Yeah, he was the best president. And Joe Biden was the best president for Ukraine, And guess what? Trump's the best president for the United States of America, baby. Yes.
That democracy and destabilization.
Fact pattern changed. And what this fact pattern did was that
Donald Trump called and said, "I'm trying to rid this next election
And
because we
he's so
think we're
bad.
going."
I don't buy that at all.
He literally called. He literally called.
attribute a higher morality to either of the political
I'm not saying one is higher morality. I'm saying that like the fact pattern has changed in this point, and it's not the same backdrop when Obama gave
Texas went first. Is that your?
It was Texas and
Yeah, I'm saying like that's politics. Like don't.
All right, first off, lady, and I'd really love to get my hand in her hair and just see what's going on there. That's really, can we get a picture of her again? Like, how do you, it just feels like that's like kind of, it's almost like Venom, you know, and the symbiote. Like you put your hand in there and it would like that. Anyway, she claims that the fact pattern changed because Donald Trump called and said, "I'm trying to rig the election," basically. I have no evidence. Were you able to find that call when Donald Trump called somebody and said, "We're going to try to rig the election"? No, we can't find that. You know, also, lady, principles. You're supposed to have principles when it's hard to have them, because if you have principles when it's easy to have them, they aren't really principles. They're just kind of little bonus things that you have. Yeah, can we, wait, we have her hair? I think, all right, it doesn't matter. We don't need the hair. We got the point. But fact patterns change. Okay, so again, if that's how we are going to do this, when you guys have power, if you're going to exert it maximally, while we pointed out yesterday, you know what's happening in Indiana right now, which is a very red state? They could have redrawn the map, but conservatives try to conserve. So they were less inclined to abuse that power, let's say. So it's not a 50-50 thing. And until Republicans start realizing that, we're going to get smacked and smacked and smacked and smacked and smacked. And apparently some people just like getting smacked around. Who likes getting smacked around? Well, it's the people of California, because although Gavin Newsom is wrapping up his reign of terror as governor as he gets ready to run for president, they have to elect a new governor. And unfortunately, Eric Swalwell, who banged a Chinese spy named Fang Fang, then raped somebody, then the underage thing, and the videotape, and the farting, and all that, he's out. But they did have a debate last night. And, well, these are not the best people we're going to show you. We're going to show you really a collection of quite terrible people, except one guy. But here is Katie Porter when asked about Gavin Newsom and homelessness.
Ms. Porter, we're going to begin with you. You recently gave the governor a solid A- when it comes to his overall job performance. What grade would you give him on homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
I'm a notoriously tough grader, but I would probably give him a B on homelessness.
What grade does he get on homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
Frank, I would say that the governor has made efforts. We've seen him come down to Los Angeles, actually go out and try to clean some of the streets. On effort, I would give him an A.
Okay, so Katie Porter, who's a notorious hard grader, would give him a B. She's so hard as a grader, she would give him a B. You know what I mean? Because he's really an A, but she's just a tough grader, so she'll give him a B. And then Javier Becerra, they're A for effort. What are you? Are you a third grade teacher in the three-legged race? What are you talking about? An A? He came down to L.A. That guy risked his life to show up in L.A. once, and he took a walk. Can you believe this guy with all his armed security guards and everything else? I asked the guys, I said, guys, this is going to be a little too easy for us, but let's just do a little low-hanging fruit here. I said, Phoenix, could you go to what's the account called? Street People of LA? There's an account on X called Street People of LA, and all it is some guy with a phone, and he just wanders around and he sees people lighting people on fire and smoking crack and taking dumps and fentanyl folds, and it's happening all over the city. There's a tremendous amount of content. I'm sure he has more videos to post per day than one should be posting on X. But this is yesterday in LA, and it took us less than 0.6 seconds to find.
Dude, come on. Smoking fentanyl on the bus. Come on, dude. Who do that? You can't do that.
No, you can videotape someone smoking fentanyl on a bus. You're not supposed to smoke fentanyl on a bus. That guy also, by the way, was one of the gubernatorial candidates. He was standing at the edge of the stage. These people are out of control. An A for effort. I'm trying to smoke fentanyl. Don't let me be. Oh, it's an F. It's an F. It's an F minus. But you're Democrats, and this is what you want, and you're going to get more of it. Here's Katie Porter completely lying about the homeless population.
You have 15 seconds. If you were in my class, Mr. Hilton, you would learn in my bankruptcy and consumer protection class that the majority of homeless people in California are actually working. they're not just people on the streets. It's not just people with mental illness or people with drug or substance use problems. It's also families who are fleeing intimate partner and domestic violence. It's people who are double and tripled up. It's people who are living in their cars on our college campuses. Homelessness comes in a lot of different forms, and if we don't see the whole problem, if we demonize them from one perspective, we'll never be able to solve this problem.
It's completely made up, and we did some research before. The majority of homeless people are not working. Well, they might be selling crack. Maybe. And actually, the guys who are selling the crack aren't homeless. Those guys are probably living in pretty fat high-rises in Beverly Hills. It's hard to get some numbers here, but according to ChatGPT, probably around 8 to 15% of homeless are working. The idea that she's talking about that they're not really drug users, and again, a lot of this is self-reported, so I would say you don't even have to look at stats. Go to LA. If you're just a psychopath and want to take a vacation, go to LA and see what's going on. And oh my, how many jobs are you? And you're just a college student selling this stuff there. And then that guy taking the dump at the CVS at the entrance, he's a college professor. And so then they've got this other guy. It's just such a clown car. So Becerra's awful. Katie Porter is just horrendous. And then they've got this guy, Tom Steyer. He is a billionaire, but he's all about raising taxes on billionaires and millionaires, of course, and that's why they're all fleeing. And he doesn't want them to behead him. That's pretty much what this guy is doing. And you can just see it on his face. He just looks like, what am I doing? And it's like, if you have that much money, what are you doing, man? Anyway, he really, he's very concerned that we're going to be racially profiling if we were to find out that, the truck drivers actually were American and spoke English.
Mr. Steyer, where do you draw the line on this? Should language proficiency for truckers be strictly enforced, even if it means that some of them will probably lose their jobs? You have 60 seconds.
Look, I agree with what was said, which is we don't know the context of this stop. But what I can say is this: racial profiling is illegal. And in fact, picking on people based on the color of their skin in the state of California is illegal.
You see what he did there? Nobody asked about skin color. The question was, should truck drivers speak English? And he made it about skin color because that's what they do. Everything is racism. They find racism everywhere except where it actually is. But you absolutely can make an argument that, basic things like truck drivers, that they should speak English. And also, if you've come to this country, back in the day when people came to America, 100 years ago, coming from all over the world, they basically learned English. Pretty much everybody. And if the older people that came didn't, they were kind of too old to do it. You're middle age and up, you didn't learn English, you guaranteed that your kids were going to speak English. You guys want this perpetual separate group of people who, let's put up signs in their language and let's start teaching their language in schools and everything else. And then what will happen 2 or 3 generations down the way? We'll have 87 languages here. Nobody will be able to communicate with everybody. You also will be telling us how awful the whole place is, and we're going to all want to kill each other. Now, there was one sane person on the stage, and he's originally British, which kind of is hilarious in some weird sense. He was also a former Fox host, Steve Hilton. I've been on his show, and here he is being asked the same question, basically about the truck drivers.
Mr. Hilton, would you require full compliance with the federal language standards for truck drivers? You have 60 seconds.
So I've discussed this with someone called Marcus Coleman from Bakersfield. His beautiful daughter, Delilah, was put into a coma by someone driving a truck. An illegal immigrant, didn't speak English, and his daughter now disabled for life. That's what we're dealing with here. It is completely ridiculous that we have people driving on our roads who can't understand road signs and can't speak English. So, yes, of course, and I've discussed this with my friend Sean Duffy, the Transportation Secretary, we will not be issuing commercial
Host,
driver
are you
licenses
cool with
when I'm
informing
governor
this
to
maggot
people
threats
who
to
are
Jeffries?
illegally
Yeah, I'm cool with
and
it.
who don't speak
Fuck
English.
King Jeffries. Fuck the Democrat Party, too. Yeah, I'm cool with it.
It's obvious common sense.
Obvious common sense, which is likely why he will not be governor of California, because they don't seem to want that. But Steve, I wish you an awful lot of luck. Let's get Steve on the show if he has some time before the election. And
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
The fact that he's up there with these crazy people, that's the answer. The fact that these questions are even being asked, should these people be able to speak English? I don't know. When you're on the road, should you have to be able to understand a road sign? Is that, and you're a commercial driver, is that where we're at? I guess that is where we're at in certain states. Here's a bit more on Steve Hilton about becoming an American.
One of the proudest days of my life was the day I became an American citizen. It happened in a ceremony right here in San Francisco. So it is a deep honor for me to be endorsed by the President of the United States.
Yeah, somebody did somebody who did Ilhan Omar taxes. They DEI. Whoever did Ilhan Omar's taxes is DEI.
And here's the thing that's going to help every Californian when I'm governor, is that we will have a constructive relationship and partnership with the federal government, which would be the case, I would hope, for any party in that situation, so that we can make things better in California, work with the president and his administration to manage our forests better, to harvest the timber so we can build the single family homes we need for young families, to work to increase California energy production as he wants to do so we can lower gas prices, to fight the fraud in our government so we can cut spending and cut taxes, to work to enforce our immigration law.
Isn't that something? You have a first-generation immigrant from across the pond who is deeply proud to be an American, who is now endorsed by the President of the United States, who just laid out probably 5 or 6 key points, key things that he would do if he was governor. He takes complete and utter common sense approach to all of these issues, and we will see what the people of California do. Now let's jump over to national treasure, Louisiana Senator John Kennedy, because as you know, the SAVE Act is currently hung up in the House right now, and it sounds like John Thune is not doing much with it, but here's Kennedy laying out basic simplicity.
The American people no longer have confidence in our elections. You can debate whether that's justified or not, but it's just a natural fact. I think that we can restore confidence in our federal elections if we do 3 things. If we come up with a way to make sure that everybody who is registered to vote is an American citizen. I think we can restore confidence in our elections if, number 2, we pass a rule for federal elections that says you have to prove you are who you say you are in order to vote. And number 3, I would like to see us, I consider this part of the Save America Act, but it's not traditionally part. I think we ought to go back to having an election day and not an election month.
You know, isn't it interesting? Steve Hilton a moment ago just laid out basic reality, common sense reality on a stage with radical lunatics. And there's Kennedy doing the exact same thing. Like, should we figure out who's here and whether they should vote or not and ensure that if you're legal, you can vote, and if you're not, you can't? Pretty basic, lowest common denominator stuff. Could there be some other things around that ensure that the people are going to be confident that the election works? Of course. And he can say it
Democrats are willing to do anything, everything to get Donald Trump out of office, even if that means terrorizing American people and jeopardizing their safety. Barack Obama, make no mistake, people, will go down in history as the #1 president to deport the most illegal immigrants using ICE agency. And you want to know the kicker part about this? They are willing to even jeopardize their accomplishments. What I mean by that is, though Obama deported millions and millions and millions of illegal immigrants, Joe Biden administration let them all back in. Why? Because we understand that they were losing a minority of the votes. Black Americans are starting to wake up and did wake up. They were losing the black vote. They were losing a lot of liberal votes. I mean, the administration was so bad that you had people that were hardcore Democrats and liberals out there voting for Donald Trump or not voting at all. So their method was to let all of these criminals in and persuade them to vote for them. that, we allowed all these illegal immigrants, thinking in their head that just that single-handedly will persuade American Latinos to vote for them. But it was a reverse. It backfired on them. And Donald Trump had the highest percentage of any president when it comes to Latino votes. Spanish votes. Isn't that something? These people, they don't seek justice. They don't seek fairness. They don't seek anything that would be beneficial to the American people. They seek only, I hate to say it, but apparently vengeance. Why? I don't know. Trump never did anything to them besides trying to fix America. But one thing I've realized about the Democratic Party is if you go against their grain, if you call them out, you are against them. I mean, look at what's going on with Nick Shirley. These people are literally trying to stop an act, start an act, pass an act, and criminalizing journalists that are similar to Nick Shirley, a young boy that is going around exposing fraud that has happened under Democrats' leaderships throughout cities and states. You want to know why? Because their hands are in the cookie jar. That's why. A lot of people are starting to wake up and smell the coffee. They start to realize that though this is a great country, it is ran by imbeciles, but people that just do not care. People that just do not care. They're so powerful. You want to know how powerful they are? Listen to this. You have many, many black actresses and actors in Hollywood that has been going around for decades saying how unfair Hollywood is. Oh, it's so unfair, right? It's very unfair. You never really hear them talk out against an individual. But you want to know what's so funny, man? As soon as Trump become president, someone who have no existence or play no part in their lives, it's old Trump is racist. The political party, the Democratic Party, is able to manipulate and control these people into saying whatever they want them to say. Knowing for a fact that the people that are really racist, the people that are really in control, are the people that has created turmoil, are the Democratic parties. And the donors, more importantly, the donors of the Democratic Party. These people are able to convince these people. They'll speak on behalf of them. Knowing that these actors and actresses, knowing that these people are the bad people. But they keep their mouth closed so they can secure a job.
Humbly and plainly, where these other people have everything they say. It's sort of like the Team Obama thing. It's these bumper sticker slogans that mean absolutely nothing as they drag us all to the precipice of hell. So the people of Cali will have to decide what they want to do in their gubernatorial election. And for those of us that are just old-fashioned Americans, I think it's around 85% of us, 80 to 85% of us, who want the SAVE Act passed. If the Republicans cannot do that, well then, as I said, they may be just a tiny bit better than the Democrats, but they ain't that great. Guys, let's talk about Van Man for a second. You know, people have been telling me that my lips have never been this moist on the show. That's what they're constantly telling me. And it is true. I am using this lip balm. It is incredible. Let me tell you a few things that these people are doing. If you think brands like Dr. Squatch, Burt's Bees, and or Native are still the small, wholesome companies they once were, think again. Most of them have been bought by massive corporations and private equity firms. And over time, so there was never a moment where you could get these people to sort of moderate themselves. So every time they lose, in their minds, it's like proof that they're right and the system is rigged against them. So they keep getting to worse and worse positions, and they keep bringing in worse and worse people. This Hassan Piker guy probably is the top of that. And the crazy part is because he has this huge audience on Twitch with young people who he's radicalizing at a very fast pace, I would say. All the Democrats are meeting with him, despite the fact fact that he said that America deserved not telling kids how to build drones. Don't suicide bomb yourself anymore. Just build a drone. You can get it on some Chinese website. He's called for blood in the streets. He called for the assassination of Rick Scott. I mean, the guy's a piece of work. But here he is, and this is where it's going to get really dangerous. And I have warned about this for years, guys. So he goes on this New York Times podcast, and he's in different clothes now, and you'll note the soft lighting and all of that stuff with these two chicks who really could make you blow your brains out. And here they discuss the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson by Luigi Mangione. Take a look.
Engels wrote about the concept of social murder. And Brian Thompson, as the United Healthcare CEO, was engaging in a tremendous amount of social murder, the systematized forms of violence, the structural violence of poverty, the for-profit paywalled system of healthcare in this country, and the consequences of that are tremendous amounts of pain, tremendous amounts of violence, tremendous amounts of deaths. And that was a fascinating story for me, because Americans are very draconian about crime and punishment. They're very black and white on this issue. And yet, because of the pervasive pain that the private
apply for entry, show that you're a qualified individual, that we can benefit from you. Look, the Democrats opened the border wide open because they saw that they were losing votes after the last census. And they know that the way that Congress seats are relegated is based on total population. They wanted those illegal immigrants here so they could have voting power. It's like if I woke up in the middle of the night and there was a robber downstairs trying to steal my TV, I'm not going to go downstairs and make him a sandwich. Like, I'm going to, one, you're probably going to get the end of the barrel of my 12-gauge shotgun. But why would I ever give amnesty to that criminal that entered? So any individual that came to our country illegally, there's no amnesty for you. You broke the law coming here. You are a criminal, illegal alien. You are going to be caught. You are going to be deported, and you're going to be put to the back of the line if you ever try to come to America again. Do it the right way. Come to a port of entry, apply for entry, show that you're a qualified individual, that we can benefit from you coming here. And federal law should simply say that you are not entitled to any type of public subsidies. You're not entitled to welfare. You're not entitled to free housing. You need to have family members or supporters here that are going to support you, jobs available. And you need to have some skill that we are actually going to benefit from. We do not need to be the welfare state for the rest of the world. We fought hard for our freedoms, and we should not be giving it up to the woke leftists that want to allow for the open borders. Now we finally have a secure border. I pray to God that stays the same, but we need to have immigration enforcement and make sure we get these individuals in the court, get them their final deportation order, get them on a plane back to their country, and they can go fix their country for themselves like we fought a civil war to do here. Like, we are going to be the beneficiaries of the American dream, not foreigners that come here illegally.
Healthcare system had created for the average American, I saw so many people immediately understand why this death had taken place.
Okay, he is really, really dangerous and really, really evil. Now, the difference between me and him is that I don't excuse death. I don't say, well, if you were to kill my political opponent, I could kind of get there and understand why. But he basically is acting as the judge, jury, and executioner with made-up terms, social murder. And then you can see he's just regurgitating a whole bunch of things. Now, first off, tell me, you person watching this right now, if you had a horrible disease, pick your disease, where would you want to be besides the United States of America? Now, that's not to say that in certain countries they could do this, that, or the other thing better. It's not to say that our system is perfect. But in essence, what he said, he kept saying private. So are you, Hassan Piker, what gives you the right to someone else's work? Like, that is, you don't have a right to someone else doing something for you. Now, we're also, I'll get more to this in a second, we're on the verge of so many things with AI and robotics that healthcare is going to change massively thanks to technology, but they also hate technology. But this is deeply, the broader point here was this is deeply dangerous because basically what he gives you all that language, and it sounds very nice, and those two girls just sitting there like, he's also, those are two exact type of girls he would mock relentlessly on his show, right? But basically he's saying, yeah, well, there's a bad system in place and this guy worked for a bad system, so I can understand why people would kill him. And of course, the irony of that is that everyone could use that against you, right? You, Hassan, somebody could say, well, I think progressive values are really, really bad, which they are, and I don't like big government, which is terrible, and I don't like that these people take over the streets, which they do, and I don't like that they call for genocide, which they do, and I don't like that they hate America, which they do, and blah, 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 blah. Guess I'm going to have to kill him, right? Like, I'm not for that, but once you say, well, we can kind of rationalize, well, we're just going to kill random people because they do things the way we don't like, game on. Game on, and it'll go every which way. It is worth noting, ex-commentator History Boomer pointed out that, well, Mr. Social Murder right there, Piker's worth $12 million and reportedly makes at least $1 million a year. He lives in a $2.74 million house. GiveWell estimates it costs $5,000 to save a life via charity. So by keeping his own money, by his own logic, he's socially murdering 200 people a year. I'm going to guarantee you that guy gives nothing in charity. I give an awful lot in charity. I don't need any credit for it or anything else. Actually, I now feel gross that I even said that, but I give to charities that I think are important and doing good work. And we can check the numbers on this, but generally speaking, conservatives give something like 80% more in charity than liberals do, because liberals want other people to do it with, they want to think they're doing it with other people's money, where conservatives don't want the government to do it, so they happen to generally be more involved. But now I want to connect this to something else. We're going to kind of bounce around here, but you'll see how we're tie it together. The other part of all of this is that the Democrats are also on a massive anti-technology and anti-AI crusade right now. And the thing is, I say this all the time, you know me, I'm a sci-fi guy. I can do all of dystopian ways that this can all go wrong, right? I can do all of that from the Matrix to the movie, AI to Terminator and Skynet turns.
Now it's time for Lefties Losing It, and let's see what one of our favourite lefties is up to. Let's hear from the reliably clueless, or if you prefer, dishonest, Joy Reid. Here she has the nerve to say that it's the Democrats who play by the rules. You know what? This is what the kids call projection.
Well, first of all, Democrats do not play politics the way Republicans do. The difference between the parties, they do not.
Joyless Reid.
Democrats play by the Marquis de Queensberry rules. I think they do not. They're not rule breakers. They couldn't even hold out on a government shutdown because 8 of them turned tail and gave in. Democrats capitulate and they try to play by the rules. Republicans don't care about the rules. They rewrite the rules.
You might have noticed there she was talking with Maury Povich, an incredulous Maury. He's used to crazy, but not Joy Reid levels of crazy. And I guess he wishes he was back hosting his old show. Remember when he just had regular crazy folk?
Okay. In the case of 1-year-old Aaliyah, Bishop, you are the father. In the case of 4-month-old Imani, Maurice, you are the father.
Oh, good times. That was a great show. I mean, that's sort of entertaining crazy we can get behind. Now to Jane Fonda and some dude who's married to a former Real Housewife of Beverly Hills. Here they put together a hilarious skit claiming that if the Paramount Warner Brothers merger goes ahead, it would turn CNN into a propaganda outlet.
This is Chad Hastings and Lefty Rogers reporting. This news station has just been bought by Paramount.
And tonight we're going to be reporting about the protests in the streets. Sorry, that's the wrong script. Tonight we're going to be reporting on the parties in the street.
Oh, parties. That sounds like fun.
That's right. Citizens have
Good
been
evening.
partying in the streets.
Thanks for being in the chat. Thank you.
now.
Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys for being in the chat. Thank you.
Actually,
now let's cut to Tony with the weather.
Thanks, Chad. The globe is getting warmer, and who doesn't love warm weather? Back to you.
I guess it's time to break out my Speedo.
This is insane.
Now let's go to Christine Hucklesby with the Money Report.
The economy is great. Back to you. What has happened to this network? This is wrong. I'm not going to work at a company like that.
Wow. Angry women, so unattractive. Here, let me help you up. There you go. Bye. Wow. And now, back to the party in the streets.
Fantastic work there, Jane. Really, some of her best work. Only we don't have to imagine CNN being an unscrupulous
Thanks, Brian.
propaganda
Thank you.
outlet. They have been that for many years, and we haven't forgotten.
I did this video this morning. Check this video out. I did it this morning. Hope you guys like it. It's not too long, 7 minutes long. Check it out.
This. Remember CNN calling the BLM riots a mostly peaceful protest, even as they burned down
Everything on fire.
entire
But he
city
said it's
blocks,
peaceful.
attacked people, caused around $2 billion worth of damage. Yeah, remember that. Now, I have some bad news. Sunny Hostin has been reading. She can certainly read, but the comprehension is perhaps not what it needs to be.
I just read that this war is estimated to have already cost us $50 billion. $50 billion, which is more money than this country has spent since World War II. And then in 2027, this president is asking for $1.5 trillion for defense, which would be more money spent in modern history on war.
Why don't they just
This
get rid
is
of him already?
unbelievable. 50 billion? 50 billion is more money than America has spent since World War II. Is that what she said? It's not even what America spent on the Vietnam War, let alone the trillions, yes, trillions with a T, that America spent on wars in Iraq. And of course, there was also Afghanistan. There was another T, trillions spent. Was Sunny Hostin in a coma during that time? What an incredible thing to say. And as I've said plenty times before, she's either frightfully stupid or lying. There are no other options at this point. And the same can be said about this next clip. Watch Democrat presidential hopeful Pete Buttigieg do nothing to correct the crazy hysteria of a constituent who seems to genuinely think that trans people
Thank
will be
you.
rounded up and put in camps by the Trump administration. Trans concentration camps.
Welcome
That's
to the
what
chat,
she
Mary.
thinks is coming.
Welcome to the
Every day
chat.
I wake up scared because a person I love is trans. And I'm waiting for the day that they start banging on doors and taking our trans and our gay friends and family to concentration camps.
It's horrible.
Are you fucking serious? This is not Iran. This is not our overseas. What's wrong with these people? Lefties are crazy.
Well, that you have to even think about that kind of fear for somebody you care about. And it's horrible that so many Americans live in that kind of fear for themselves and for those they love.
Yeah, they live in that sort of fear because of Democrats like you. Not only does he not correct her, he feeds her fear and hysteria.
Yeah.
Just shameful behavior. And it's from a Democrat who wants to be president. Let's go to a Democrat who was a president, and gosh, what wonderful work he did in dividing the country. You want to see where America's modern race issues started? Then look no further than this guy who has also done a backflip now on the issue of gerrymandering. Let's hear from Barack Obama.
Gerrymandering means citizens' voices are being diminished. By voting yes, you have a chance to do something important, not just for the Commonwealth, but for our entire country, even a former president, who are joining together to end gerrymandering and ensure that our democracy is living up to its founding promise. By voting yes, you can push back against the Republicans trying to give themselves an unfair advantage.
Wow. Come on, Brian. Come on, Tech, y'all. Y'all see this bullshit?
In the midterms, and we're counting on you to help ensure a reasonable, transparent redistricting process that honors our ideal of equal representation.
Yep, what the Democrats have done in Virginia is a genuine threat to representative democracy. They have taken the fairest state when it comes to representation and turned it into the
Right, Newman. We voted for Obama became president twice. Actually, 3 times. Because he was running it when Biden was in office. Him, Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, and Chuck Schumer. They was all running the country.
Fairest, where the party that is around 52% of the vote is going to control 90% of the seats. Let's go back to the issue of race and to give you an idea of how racially divisive and toxic the Obama administration was.
And then pass the Save American Act. You don't got to do all the gerrymandering, just pass the Save American Act. And that's on both sides of the aisle.
Let's listen to Ashley Allison here, a former Obama White House senior advisor. And here she said the quiet bit out loud. This is an old clip, but it gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. She basically said the black community sided with O.J. Simpson because, after all, he only murdered a couple of white people.
Damn.
But it was so racially charged because of what had happened just before with Rodney King, but also just how Black Americans.
Rodney King was bogus. I did not know that he had beat up a female officer. He beat the shit out of her, and they got his ass right back. Did y'all know that? That Rodney King beat up a female officer half to death? And that's what they did back to him? Wrong is wrong, but he should put his hand on a woman.
Americans feel about policing. It's not like O.J. Simpson was the leader of the civil rights movement of his era. You know, he wasn't a social justice leader, but he represented something for the Black community in that moment, in that trial, particularly because there were two white people who had been killed, and the history around how Black people have been persecuted during slavery. There were just so many layers. And I guess I would just close with this, is that there was racial tension then, there is racial tension now. It might not be the backdrop of the Trump campaign, but until this country is ready to actually have an honest conversation about the racial dynamics from our origin story till today, we will always have moments like O.J. Simpson that manifest, and our country will always be divided if we don't actually deal with the issue of race.
I think the very last thing Ashley Allison wants is a true reckoning and honest conversations about race in America. The grift may be over. Now to Bill Maher, who, along with all the other lefties, is happy to lay the boots into Eric Swalwell. He says he always knew Eric was a bit creepy.
Speaking of creepy stuff, have you been following the Eric Swalwell case here in California? This is a very prominent. I think we're all following it. A very prominent Democrat. I got to say, we had him on a couple of times. Ask my staff. I never liked him. I don't have good gaydar, but I got creepdar. I always thought this guy was a creep. I never liked him. And yet so many Democrats stood by him. And now that we're finding out that it was such an open secret, you know, I hear this so many times, you know, Bill Clinton, it was an open secret in Arkansas.
My only problem is, if you go back and watch Eric Swalwell with Bill Maher, he gets a pretty sweet run. Now to Hollywood actress Anne Hathaway, who has added a new word to her vocabulary.
Hopefully live for and enjoy a life. I want to have a long, healthy life. Inshallah, I hope so.
Inshallah, okay. And that has got her a lot of attention, and she's also now getting Qurans on the red carpet.
Inshallah, we told you this Quran for you because I saw the video we had, inshallah, and I was anyway thinking to give you that, and then I saw that, I said, you know what, give it to her. Thank you so much.
She was very appreciative indeed. I wonder if she'd be as gracious if she was handed a Bible on the red carpet. Now to a friend of this program, Alex Stein. He's our second favourite Texan. Appears every Monday. Now, he tried to have a debate with a lefty, losing it, but got a death threat instead. I mean, these people are just awful.
But I'm saying I want to live in a meritocracy and not in a place that
in what way was she given the vice presidency role?
Because he purposely said that I need to pick a woman.
I will, in fact, pick a woman to be vice president.
Right, and so what I'm trying to
get qualified for the job.
And whatever, conversation is conversation.
All right.
Watch out for a hole in the neck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Talking about awful, here is an old granny going off about Donald Trump. What else? And also, what is it about the left and violence? They've got a problem.
Are you happy now? He did it. He dropped those bombs. I hope you are listening, you maggots. I cannot stand
She's a charming lady, isn't she? She's almost as
Damn.
charming as this next TikToker.
I want him DEAD, head on a stake, dead. I want him dragged through the streets. Okay? I want his ass dragged. I want him gutted. I want his entrails in the road. A whole civilization will. I want them. I do. Oh, Jules, you shouldn't say that. I don't get.
And talking about the left and violence, here's an elementary school teacher sharing his violent fantasies about Trump with the world. Now just imagine this creep teaching your kids.
People are saying it's going to happen this weekend and they're buying champagne or whatever, but I want to remind everybody that we need to make sure that they don't bury it. We need to hang it out front of the White House for the birds to pick clean. And then once it's picked clean, we need to bronze it and install it over the entryway to the White House so that the next person who gets in there knows what's coming for them. And if they try to take it down, they can replace it.
To Florida now, where changes to the food stamp program are leaving some users irate. They can't even get free ice cream anymore.
No sodas. You can't get your coffee creamer. You can't even get ice cream.
Get a job. Then they can buy your own stuff. That's the problem. Get off the government bullshit and buy your own stuff. Get you a job. That way the government can't tell you what to do by, what you can and can't buy.
You know, that's wrong. What am I to do? You know, that's wrong. Somebody needs to do something about this.
Get a job.
I know it's affecting everybody. You know,
That's crazy. She ain't working. She complained about not getting sugary drinks, but yet our tax dollars is going to pay for our sugary drinks. She need to go to a gym.
eat healthy. I love my fruit. You know, I love my sweets.
Let's now hear from some
That's
lefties
fucked
in the
up.
wild, terribly triggered by comments made about the Iranian regime. Of course, they see any criticism of the murderous mad mullahs of Iran as a sign of white supremacy because they assume the comments were made by Donald Trump. But the comments were actually made by Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden. This is a great insight into the mind of the rusted-on lefty.
Iran is a destabilizing, dangerous force in the Middle East. Do you agree with him on that at least?
No.
We would be able to totally obliterate them. That's a terrible thing to say, but those people who run Iran need to understand that. What do you think he meant by saying those people?
White supremacy.
It's subhuman. People of color. He's becoming very delusional and honestly showing a little bit of signs of dementia.
This is something someone with dementia would say.
Absolutely.
Had Kamala actually won the election, do you think we would even be in this?
Absolutely not. If he had a kind soul, I think anyone can be beautiful, but he's not beautiful. No. He's not beautiful inside or out. He's a horrible person.
And now watch the reactions as Caitlin Bennett tells them the inconvenient truth. The comments they found so abhorrent, the comments they deemed a sign of white supremacy and madness, were actually made by the...
Zach, you the one that's dumb, man. I'm nowhere near dumb or stupid. Come on, man. Stop the insults.
Democrats they voted for.
Because I'm not showing what you want to see or I'm not saying what you want to hear doesn't make me dumb. At all.
And truly is insane. Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris said all of that, not Donald Trump.
Really?
Yes.
That makes me very sad.
Are you serious or not?
Yes, they are.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's a gotcha. Good for you.
You've never heard them say this stuff?
No, I haven't.
That was a quote from 2008, right here.
To it. I don't, you know what? Who can believe what we read?
Did you go to the cops about me?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if you needed a permit.
I didn't mean to make you cry.
Right, but it's shameful.
What's shameful about it? There's nothing.
Wow. And they were saying who was being ugly on the inside and out. Let's bring in documentary filmmaker and commentator Ami Horowitz. Ami, seems like a lot of these Democrats can't handle the truth.
Yeah, look, it's not really, they can't handle the truth. The reality is this just reflects what's happened more broadly within the Democratic Party in that they have moved to a post-colonial, anti-American, anti-Western what was normally fringe positions into mainstream Democratic thinking, and this kind of reflects that. And it's that in a combination of Trump derangement syndrome, right? That's really what it comes down to. Let's go over the highlights of what.
So I don't think she pooped in her pants, y'all. So whatever y'all video y'all got y'all talking about she pooped in her pants, let me know, because right now Google's saying that didn't happen.
Like they're taking pro-Iranian positions, right? Let's go over the highlights. Iran has involved themselves directly or through support. Iran bombed the Marine barracks bombing, killing 245 Marines. They bombed the Beirut embassy.
I'm gonna make a correction. I said Rodney King beat up a female officer. AI said it didn't happen. So you trust AI, you don't trust AI. I don't know. You guys say Google it, I Google it. So if I'm wrong about Rodney King and the female officer, I'll take that back. But it did say he had an altercation with his wife or ex-wife.
A U.S. embassy. They killed 85 Jews in the Jewish community center in Buenos Aires. They killed the Iraqi insurgency based on Iran killed 600 American soldiers, not to mention the 1,200 dead Jews on October 7th, and also obviously the almost 100,000 Iranians they've killed. None of that matters to the Democrats. Okay, the Democrats. Really, I am rarely shocked. Democrats have universally, with the exception of John Fetterman, supported the Iranian position over the U.S. position. Okay, they've parroted Iranian talking points. Chris Murphy retweeted a post that said, "Thankfully, Iran is now transiting the Strait of Hormuz." And what did Chris Murphy retweet back? Awesome, he said. Yeah. Okay. Representative Adam Smith of Washington said he trusts the Iranians over Donald Trump. This is the situation we find ourselves with the Democratic Party vis-a-vis Iran and vis-a-vis globally, how we look at the world.
Well, on the Strait of Hormuz, Iran is not respecting the ceasefire. They have attacked commercial vessels in the strait, and they are claiming, Army, that the US blockade of Iranian ports is a breach of the ceasefire deal. How do you see this?
Bullpucky. I want to use a different word, but I'm going to be PC for our television audience. Of course, it was never part of the deal. Why would, just think about it, why would Trump give up his single largest leverage point, right? The economic pressure point that he was putting on Iran for this deal? Of course he never did. In fact, part of the reason why he wanted to keep the ceasefire was dependent on keeping the Strait of Hormuz open, which is what the U.S. warships were there to do. So, of course, that was not part of the deal. Just another Iranian lie that, of course, Democrats will parrot. Look, people think that time is working against the president.
Welcome to the chat.
Actually, it's completely the opposite. Time is completely against Iran and for the president. First of all, the president has 3 more years. He's not up for re-election. Okay. Secondly, we can handle this financially way more than the Iranians can. The Iranians are I would say they're on the cusp of economic destruction. They're way past the cusp. They're well into financial destruction. And of course, the pressure on the president and the U.S. by the Europeans and others is far less than the pressure on the Iranians, including the people, the countries in their neighborhood, and of course, more importantly, the Chinese, who really want this to just go away. So yeah, it could not be farther from the truth.
Now, we spoke yesterday about Iran's plans to execute a number of women arrested after protests across the nation. Donald Trump demanded the women's release in the lead up to peace negotiations, and there seems to be some positive news there with that pressure working. 4 of the women will reportedly be released immediately, while another 4 will serve 1-month prison terms. So that is some positive news out of that conflict. Now, let's talk about this absolute threat to democracy in Virginia, Army, the gerrymandering that would see a state where the Democrats recorded just a narrow win basically have no Republican representation. There's now pressure on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to give the Democrats a taste of their own medicine, and those calls are going to only get louder after this gloating from Hakeem Jeffries.
Our message to Florida Republicans is F around and find out.
Thanks, Arnold. Thank you, man. Appreciate
Now let's hear from the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He had this to say in response.
Thank you, Arnold, man. You a blessing.
Be my
You a
guest.
blessing.
I
Thank
will
you,
pay
man.
for you to come down to Florida and campaign. I'll put you up in the Florida governor's mansion. We'll take you fishing. We'll do all this stuff. There's nothing that could be better for Republicans in Florida than to see Hakeem Jeffries, everywhere around this state. Voters will not like what they see. They will not want that type of ideology. And so the door is open. The invitation's out there. I don't think there'd be anything better for the Republican Party of Florida but to have Jeffries there.
Explain to my audience what this redistricting, gerrymandering means. Even as a Virginia court earlier today declared the state's redistricting vote was actually unconstitutional.
No problem, Brian. We can debate. Ain't no problem.
Yeah, so what this is okay, first of all, every 10 years...
What you debate? What do you want to debate about? I'm right here. When I go live, I'm ready to debate. I'm right here.
There's what we call redistricting, which is normal political behavior because there's inflows, there's outflows from every state. So therefore, you have to rebalance the books, essentially, to make sure that your representation reflects the population of your state, right? That's normal politicking. Gerrymandering is taking that to an extreme, right? It was started by Elbridge Gerry, who was the governor of Massachusetts. As they took his name, Gerry, actually his name was Gary, but who cares? I won't let that give away a good story. And he redistricted Massachusetts, and it looked like a salamander. So that's where they get gerrymandering from. So what essentially it means is every district has the same exact population across the United States, right? Then you have your number of districts based on the number of population you have in your state. What this does is, let's say you have 3 districts in your state, right, just to keep the math easy, and there are 3 competitive districts. So what you do is you make one of those districts a total landslide for your opposition, and you take the other 2 districts and make them safe districts. And you split it out so that you can guarantee yourself 2 out of 3, and therefore you control the state. That's what gerrymandering is. Both sides have done it for...
You want to debate, Brian? No problem. My email is on my page. You can email me. Ain't no problem. You can be mad or angry. I'm cool. I'm a laid back person. I can talk and debate with anybody. I'm more of a listener anyway. But you want to debate about anything? It's cool. Outside of the chat, it's cool, bro.
For many, many years. And I don't like it. It's not good for our democracy. I think both sides should quit it. But
I tell you what, I do need a guest on my show. I've had no guest on my show for a while. So if you can be a guest on my show, we can podcast together one of these days. I have no problem with that. Everybody's welcome to my channel if you guys want to get on. We can set up and we can sit down and talk. I can show you the link. I use Riverside to podcast. I can show you the link. We can go from there.
But the Democrats, right? The party of democracy. This is the party that wants to pack the Supreme Court. This is the party that wants to add D.C. and Puerto Rico so they can institutionalize Democratic victory in the Senate.
Okay, Tech. Next week, I'm gonna go ahead and set up this call in and see how this work out. Next week, Monday, I'm gonna do the call in, see how it works out. I have the number on display. We'll go from there.
So when they keep referencing Texas as why they're doing this. Well, when Texas redistricted, 63%, they redistricted 2. Now Texas Republicans have 63% roughly of the seats in the House. But that reflects a 58% vote. So 58% of 63, not that far apart. In Virginia, the House vote went 51% to the Democrats, but now they have 90% of the House seats. That just shows you the difference in extremes between the 2 sides. So yeah, you can say it was Texas that did this. And I would say, well, before Texas, we had Massachusetts, and we had Oregon, and we had Illinois, and I can go on and on and on. So I'm sick of this. This is not good. What we're going to end up having is every slightly blue state will become extraordinarily blue, and every slightly red state extraordinary red, not good for competitive balance. I'm not a fan of it from either side.
Well, yeah, it's not great for representative democracy, but if Virginia and other blue states are going to behave in that manner, then...
Just a little bit of behind the scenes, Deunta. You already know. All right, we about to start the podcast, and we about to do it up. Quiet on the set over there.
Quiet on the set. Quiet
on the set.
So before I started this show, I had one called Chicago Red Pill with Bomay and Deunta, my homie. But I'm doing it on my own now. This is our old logo. This is our old name. So I'm on my own now. So I would love to have a guest to go back and forth with, discuss what's going on in the world. I'm in Rockford now. He in Chicago, so I guess he got real busy. But it's cool.
You're going to have to expect the red states to do the same, that their voters will demand it. Otherwise, it makes a complete mockery of the representative system. And the Democrats, what they've done in Virginia really is quite shameful. Those percentages you said are 100% accurate. They're getting just over 50% of the vote, but 90% of the seats. Figure that out. Now to the Southern Poverty Law Center, as we covered that story last night, they've been indicted for allegedly funneling millions to the hate groups they're supposedly fighting. Here is Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche.
According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred.
It seems the SPLC paid millions to racist extremists to spread hate that the SPLC then used to get more donations.
It's great for them because they've raised tens of millions of dollars on the back of this. Yeah, they didn't pay, again, understand the scope of what we're talking about here. They were paying neo-Nazis, the KKK, not thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands. By the way, hundreds of thousands.
What up, Jason? What up?
Millions of dollars. Okay. Now, to give you a sense of the Southern Poverty Law Center and what they represent, they are a massive bulwark for the left and Democratic Party when it comes to race. Right. Since 2010, they've been referenced over 700 times by the New York Times in reference to issues around race, including Unite the Right, right, which I'll get to in a second. So every time you hear, whenever there's a terrorist bombing, right, by Islamic fundamentalists, you always hear from the Democrats, but white supremacy is a much, much bigger problem in our country. Yeah, break those numbers down. They all come from the Southern Poverty Law Center, and they're all bull crap, okay? Southern Poverty Law Center, not to make this about me, but I do like make things about me sometimes. They have attacked me a number of times. They've attacked close friends of mine, Dennis Prager, David Horowitz. None of these people are extremists in any way, shape, or form, and family members of mine. So this, to me, is a delicious thing that happened. But look, there's a supply and demand problem with racism, okay? Is that the demand outstrips the supply. The demand from the left outstrips the reality of the supply in the country. Racism is not a significant problem in this country, nor is anti-Semitism, by the way. It happens, okay, but we're not an anti-Semitic country, nor are we a racist country. But that puts people like Southern Poverty Law Center out of business. So they have to create the supply to feed the demand. And that's what they did.
I've not heard one.
Warning, what you're about to see are liberals acting nuttier than squirrel turds. Pray for them, y'all.
If Donald Trump wants to debate me anytime, any place, in the Oval Office, publicly, on camera,
he will destroy you.
And we'll see who's intellectually superior in that type of contest. I've got no doubts as to what the outcome would be.
You're not lying to me by any slim chance, are you?
No.
And it's extraordinary to me that Donald Trump keeps recycling this low IQ insult. This is from the dumbest president ever to sit at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And there's not even a close second. Bullshit.
They are not confused. They just stupid. They just don't know what they're doing. We need to send the Republicans back to elementary school so that they can get the basics. The most educated demographic in this country right now is Black women. The same very people that built this country, because the last time I checked, y'all didn't say that anything was wrong with the White House, and I can promise you, it was my ancestors that built the White House. So Trump is corrupt. Okay?
Bye, Felicia.
Like, he is corrupt. And so are every single Republican that sits in the House. President Biden is head and shoulders above Trump in every single way, especially when it comes to someone who absolutely avoids being a criminal. We look at the anti-Semitism, when we look at the Islamophobia in this country, it is being perpetuated by the MAGAs. Most Black people are not Republicans simply because we just is like, y'all racist. I can't hang out with the KKK in them. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes. They try to act like, oh, political violence, it's the Democrats and it's the liberals. And it's like, actually, I mean, I'm not going to say that like a left-leaning person cannot be violent, because that would be like crazy to say that somebody can't be. But baby, y'all got the white supremacists galore, okay? Like all of them. You got the Proud Boys. You got the neo-Nazis. Y'all are violent. Like y'all, and most of your violence has to do with people that's got a little bit of melanin. The data shows that Donald Trump is one of the most pro-drug trafficking presidents in modern day history. Are you high?
What are you? An idiot sandwich. I've not heard one Democrat say defund ICE. Yeah. What? I've not heard one Democrat say defund ICE.
We cannot and we must not vote to send a single nickel to this lawless organization of thugs while Trump's secret police are terrorizing our communities every day. Right now, Democrats have the power to defund and abolish ICE. We should do it. This is about right and wrong.
I've not heard one Democrat say defund ICE.
It is beyond time to defund ICE. Beyond time to stop the violence, beyond time to stop the unfettered use of force against our communities.
What we have achieved is our unified vote to fund everything in the Department of Homeland Security except for these illegal agencies in Customs and Border Patrol and ICE.
I've not heard one Democrat say defund ICE.
However, the terror campaign of this administration is not limited to one person, and ICE cannot be abolished. Cannot be reformed, and it still needs to be defunded and abolished.
See, I have an inner ear problem. Sometimes I can't hear anything.
Right now, Democrats have the power to defund and abolish ICE.
These are evil people. These are sick, evil people.
That is not true.
All right, so then you're saying all nine are secure.
It is my testimony that the border is secure, and we are working every day, day and night, to increase its security. Border is secure.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
America will see even more clearly tonight where the Republicans are. Not on the side of lowering costs, but on the side of masked agents occupying our streets. Where the heck are you? America is crying out for relief from high costs, and you're here adding $140 billion to an agency that nobody, to two groups, Border Patrol and ICE, that nobody respects in this country.
Oh, wait a minute now. Wait a minute.
Don't you ever say that again.
Chuck Schumer, no one respects you. The definition of a lying scumbag politician, that is you. You would be the definition if you Googled you right now. Why don't you just come out and be honest with American people? He wants to have open borders. If you want to defund the Customs and Border Protection Agency, if you want to defund ICE, who is in there arresting the criminals that the laws were passed by you, you had time to change those during the Biden administration. You didn't, because you're for open borders and you're for the criminals running amok in our cities. And for you to say that is so disrespectful to the law enforcement that is out there protecting you, because he has a detail with him. How about he walks around these city streets without a detail? I wonder how safe he would feel.
Your agency's been shut down since the middle of February. I understand you guys are spending upwards of more than $1 billion every 2 weeks just trying to hit payroll. You're moving some money around. President Trump has signed a couple of executive orders. You're trying to get your people paid. But that money is, I hear, is going to run out in early May. What kind of impact is that having, and what's going to happen within DHS once that money dries up?
Well, right now we spend roughly 1.7 billion every 2 weeks in payroll. Mind you, I have 270,000 employees. The president did sign an executive order to be able to pay us until the end of May or end of April. My last payroll will come out the first payroll of May. After that, I don't have the ability to pay the employees anymore. But what we're not talking about is the bills aren't being paid either. We've been shut down for 69 days. I have gas cards, true gas cards, being shut off. I have individuals out there that are trying to deliver and protect the seas from the drug cartels getting to our shores, which is our Coast Guard, that is having hard times literally getting fuel for their ships. DOW is having to fulfill those. We have contractors that went since February without being paid. We have vessels that can't get licensed. So we have barges, we have tugboats that's on our inner waterways that can't get licensed. We're 18,000 vessels behind because that department has been shut down. We're at critical mass, and right now Democrats can continue to play political theater because I guess Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democrat Party, said it the best, that no one respects ICE and CPB. That's absolutely false. That's a lie. The American people overwhelmingly supports deporting these illegal immigrants and enforcing our nation laws and closing our border. There's not even, the polling is like an 80% issue with the American people, but the Democrats are so afraid of their primary base that they are willing to hold the homeland hostage. Listen, I have 22 agencies that their main job every single day, we get up and we protect the homeland. We protect my yard, we protect your yard, we even protect Chuck Schumer's backyard. And we do it, and right now they're expecting us to do it for free, and they've been doing this for 69 days for us, and enough's enough.
Got another one. Ocean that the military. 3 international cargo ships yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz, boarding and seizing 2 of those ships. The White House says these seizures do not violate the ceasefire because they were not U.S. or Israeli ships.
But the U.S. has seized so many Iranian ships, their country is about to collapse.
The Defense Department released new video of U.S. forces boarding a sanctioned vessel in the Indian Ocean that the military says was transporting oil from Iran. The Pentagon says it will continue to stop vessels providing material support to Tehran and says more than 30 vessels have been turned around as part of the U.S. blockade. President Trump this morning said no ship can enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz without U.S. approval until Iran can make a deal. He also warned he's ordered the U.S. Navy to shoot and kill any Iranian small boats putting mines in the strait.
Yep, better not do that.
What they have left, though, is a pretty expansive fleet of, imagine big speedboats with stuff like machine guns and rockets. And, of course, it doesn't take much to lay a mine, so you can just put a mine on a speedboat and take it out.
Which are useless against Trump's blockade.
Right now, officials say the Iran war is at a standoff. The blockade remains in place. The Strait of Hormuz remains closed. President Trump says there is no expiration to the ceasefire, telling our own Martha McCallum on the phone, quote, "There is no time pressure on this, that the 3 to 5 day window reported earlier today is false. The blockade scares them even more than the bombing. They've been bombed for years, but the blockade they hate
Why? They've got oil wells operating 24/7 and they need a place to put that oil. If they can't ship it out, their country's going to have to shut down, and all the people working in Iran's economy, they're not going to have anything to do, and the jig is going to be up.
Washington Post reporting, even if the shipping lanes are open in the Strait, quote, it could take 6 months to fully clear the Strait of Hormuz of mines deployed by the Iranian military, and any such operation is unlikely to be carried out until the U.S. war with Iran ends.
Come buy oil in America.
Congress.
That's right. Team Jesus, baby. I'm with you guys. Team Jesus all day. He died on the cross for our sins. That's why we still here.
A reminder, there's no go-around from the Persian Gulf. There's only one way in and out of the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. Military Central Command with an update on the blockade.
31
U.S.
vessels
forces
now.
have directed 31 vessels to turn around or return to port as part of the U.S. blockade against Iran. And President Trump posting very good news. I have just been informed that the 8 women protesters who are going to be executed tonight in Iran will no longer be killed. 4 will be released immediately. 4 will be sentenced to 1 month in prison.
Only President Trump could save the lives of these 8 beautiful Iranian women.
What a bunch of monsters running this country. These guys won't surrender. They don't care if their currency, if their economy collapses, but it looks like we're in the final stages of this thing.
And Iranian forces seized those 2 ships yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz after U.S. forces seized 2 Iranian oil tankers. It appears to be a tit for tat. Right now, there are no plans for Vice President J.D. Vance to fly to Islamabad to continue negotiating with Iran. The White House says they're waiting for a comprehensive Iranian counter-proposal.
They'll get it.
Guys,
so just to be clear, Lucas, we picked up these ships far away from the Strait because we know we're beginning to
going to China.
How Iran is getting their ghost ships in and out and how they're trafficking their oil, right?
That's right. One of them was outside the Strait of Hormuz in the Gulf of Oman. The other one, Brian, you're right, was in the Indian Ocean. Far from the Strait of Hormuz. That ship allegedly had left Karg Island with oil. It was a sanctioned vessel, but the U.S. monitored it, sent in the Navy SEALs to board the ship in the Indian Ocean. It was a sanctioned vessel with oil bound for Asia.
Look at that.
Yep, and maybe bound for China. So that's certainly going to affect them.
You know something? Every day that China doesn't get its oil, they have big problems. Oh, look at this. China caught in an energy squeeze. Their factories, their entire economy, their invasion plans for Taiwan, all of it needs massive amounts of oil, which aren't coming for some reason. It's almost like if you want world peace, you should cut off militant aggressors from the thing they need to be militant aggressors. What a shocking idea.
They picked up this ship, Tiffany, which was en route to China, full of oil. So how have they existed all these years? Because Joe Biden looked the other way and allowed them to take their sanctioned oil on unsanctioned ships. They turn off their transponders. And these ships will go to China in many cases.
Venezuela was doing the same thing.
Get their money. It stays offline. A lot of the transactions are done in dollars. And now we're saying, we're stopping you here, and we also know what you're up to over there.
So the question is, Ainsley, does now the Chinese and other people that are
Hold on, this is more recent.
A Fox News alert for you moments ago. President Trump weighing in on replacing the
18 minutes ago.
secretary, saying he is smart, tough, and respected by all. And although he has decided to move on from his position as Secretary of the Navy, I very much appreciate the job that he has done. Rebecca Grant is the national security and military analyst and vice president of the Lexington Institute and joins us now. Rebecca, welcome to you. What is your takeaway from this, and what does this mean for our current situation?
Well, the good news is that Acting Secretary Hung Kao is a fabulous choice, Naval Academy grad, Special Ops, career Navy, and he really knows the business. And it comes at a time when we are hearing piracy and propaganda coming out of Iran. But let me tell you, it is the U.S. Navy that holds all the cards in the Strait of Hormuz and really around the globe doing some intercepts of Iranian ships in the Indian Ocean as well.
Which leaves us anticipating what our next move is, Rebecca, based on everything we have heard coming from this administration in recent hours. What do you see happening next?
Well, the latest, of course, is, I think, a good change of the rules of engagement, and that is President Trump enabling Admiral Cooper to tell the ships in the Strait, hey, if you come across these Iranian fast boats and they're making trouble, you can fire on them. So that does two things. That means the blockade is going to continue very strongly, and then it shows us all that, hey, the U.S. Navy can do this day and night. They're the ones that have the control of the strait, and it's going to increase the pressure on Iran. I really like what I'm seeing.
That's encouraging. Rebecca, I want to play this out for you and get your reaction to retired Rear Admiral Kenneth Braithwaite, the former Secretary of the Navy, on critical geopolitical importance of maritime choke points, saying there's nothing more important than these sea lanes. Listen.
There's nothing more important than controlling the sea lanes. It's where all the commerce flows. Of course, we're seeing that in the Straits with over 20% of the world's oil supply being cut off. Armies win wars, but navies prevent them. And so the effort towards shipbuilding today has to be an all-hands effort.
You know, as many different turns and different directions this war goes in, it all comes back to those critical lanes in all of this, Rebecca.
And take the long view. Control of the Strait of Hormuz is a top geopolitical prize. Our U.S. Navy is able to operate there with our joint forces because of what was done during Operation Epic Fury to take out Iranian Navy, anti-ship cruise missiles, their vessels, submarines, etc. This is also a big message from Trump to China because it's China's oil that flows through that strait. So the U.S. Navy's control of the Strait of Hormuz puts the U.S. in a much better geopolitical position, not only in the Iran negotiations, but with China as well.
Does it come down to just us? Lindsey Graham, in a new X post, is suggesting that he expects that the U.S. blockade, Rebecca, against Iran, quote, could become global soon. So will we see this get bigger?
I think by global, he means that our forces in the Pacific, Admiral Porparo, is enabled now to go after Iranian shadow fleet tankers. We saw those 2 intercepts done in the Indian Ocean. So we're going to crack down on all of Iran's shadow fleet. And again, another message to China about the sea power that we have. Put that together with air dominance, and that's why the U.S. is a global power.
Because Lindsey Graham added to that post and that message that he seems to be putting out to the world after discussing this with President Trump, to those assisting or thinking about assisting the Iranian regime in distributing its oil, which provides resources for terrorism, you do so at your own peril. Do you think our enemies are getting that message, Rebecca?
Oh, I think Xi Jinping in China is seeing this loud and clear. And I think what the senator's referring to is we don't want to see any more cargoes of chemicals to make missile fuel going into Iran. We don't want to see Iran.
Ago, neo-Nazis marched out of a field in Charlottesville.
Sleepy Joe.
Literally years ago, neo-Nazis marched out of a field in Charlottesville.
Sleepy Joe.
Literally carrying torches. Neo-Nazi flags. What'd you hear? They're very fine people on both sides. President Trump had said, what do you think? He said, they're very fine people on both sides. He said there were, quote, very fine people on both sides. Donald Trump said, and I quote, there are very fine people on both sides. My God. That's what he said.
That's what he said. The very fine people host.
Thanks for stopping by. My name is Deunta. This is Gutfield. This is from X as well. The party never switched, you guys. Party never switched. The Democratic Party is still a party of slavery, corruption, and don't love America.
It's what that feeble old fart ran on. Now it turns out that hoax was based on an even bigger hoax. Enter the Southern Poverty Law Center, the self-appointed hall monitor of hate. The group that's made bank pushing the myth that the Klan is hiding behind every Cracker Barrel. When the real racists in hiding were them. The DOJ revealed that the SPLC has been indicted by a grand jury for using millions in donor funds that went to hate groups like the KKK and neo-Nazis.
Right, I keep on saying MAGA is a code, part of the KKK. We're not. We love America, American first. Simple as that. We kept tell you guys they're not part of us, they're not with them, they're not with us. They with you guys, they right wingers, they not right wing. It was all Democrat plants, period.
Roll it.
As the indictment lays out, after SPLC paid members of these extremist groups, it created work product that reported on these activities that the members participated in or contributed to. And to that end, it was doing the exact opposite of what it's told its donors it was doing. Not dismantling extremism, but funding it.
I would say you can't make this stuff up, but that's exactly what these hate mongers were doing, funding the very extremist groups it claimed to fight. That's right. The arsonist may have been running the fire department. It's like donating to save the whales and finding out that the money was going to feed the few.
That's crazy. Yeah, follow the money, you guys. Follow the money. There is no way you guys don't see the Democratic Party don't care about America. They didn't stand up for us when Trump asked them to stand up for us, you know?
See, the SPLC had a problem. People just weren't being racist enough to keep them in business, no matter how many times Jesse calls Charles Payne Al Roker. After all, your fundraising, your relevance, and media hits depend on the existence.
I do it all. I do reactions. I go live, as you guys can see, and I do YouTube shorts as well.
Of widespread hate, but what happens when there isn't any? Time to hire an
Jeff, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You add Turning Point USA to your hate map.
Oh, wow. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Name is Deunta. Thank you.
Hate morphs.
Right. Do your research. What Byron was talking about in the beginning of this video was all lies. It was way more to that. They only played snippets of it, and everybody ran with it. Do your research. All this technology out here, research is easy to do now.
Ideas that liberals hate, especially since it's the only tool they have to ruin people by calling them bigots. And
right, call them as maggots. Now they call them as big. Right, they call them as maggots, but the real word was bigots. Thank you, Mickey. Democrat words. Thank you, guys, man. You guys are blessing. Thank you, Jeff. Man. Thank you, guys. Get off the plantation. Big turn's coming. Vote red. Don't be misled.
The media, they ate it up for years. Every hate map was treated like gospel. If they said your neighbor's bowling league was a hate group, boom, front page, no questions asked. Meanwhile, the actual number of active hate groups in America has been about as robust as Blockbuster Video. But that didn't stop the fear machine, because fear keeps the lights on.
Right.
Fear keeps us divided as a people.
The Democratic Party, fear-mongering all the time. And that's the problem with us black people and brown people. We get too emotional. We get the word slavery, Jim Crow 2.0, and we get all emotional. Oh, we're going back. We're not going back. We're moving forward. Old bread, we'll keep going forward.
And fear gets people elected, and that's how you get this.
From white supremacy is the
a white man talking about white supremacy. Amazing.
Most lethal threat to the homeland today. Not ISIS, not Al Qaeda.
And then the ones that keep on saying white supremacists, they are married to the white man or woman. Make it make sense. Ian Omar, white man. Kamala Harris, white man. Don Lemon, white man. I could keep on going. This is ridiculous. Nothing wrong with being a mixed couple, but stop lying on the race that you're dating or married to.
White supremacists. No matter what the white supremacists and the extremists say, as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy. Be the most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today. White supremacy.
So we knew this was hate-filled. Now we know the SPLC helped to fund it with the Unite the Right rally, which gave us the Fine People hoax, where Trump was accused of equating Nazis with peaceful protesters. So to repeat, the entire narrative of Biden's candidacy was based on a hoax created by a left-wing group, then protected by the media, who did no investigation.
That's the problem. No investigation. This is the media. They get paid millions of dollars to investigate things, and they're not even doing that.
Into who these haters were. The media is oddly incurious, in addition to corrupt and stupid. We never found out who those people with the torches were, did we? Yet the same mob was able to track down Jan's 6 grannies, which is why it's not just about the SPLC. It's about politicians who embraced them, the corporations that donated to them. Hell, Apple gave them $1 million. So did George Clooney. And then there's the media outlets who needed to make the lies true, so they could say it's racist to deport people in the country illegally, so that everyone in the next Star Trek is trans, and that hiring based on merit is as out of date as the canned beans I donate to food drives. Of course, these allegations will have to be proven in court, but the plot is exposed. Fact is, America is one of the least racist societies in human history, and that's bad for business if your business is racism.
Thank you, Gutfeld. Thank you, guys, for stopping by. Name is Deunta, but he was cooking. He was breaking stuff down for you guys. I appreciate Gutfeld. Because other than that, these guys out here show no transparency, constant gaslighting. But other than that, the midterms coming. Vote red. Do not be misled, people. Democrat Party do not care about you. Don't care about us. Only themselves in power. We got to vote them.
And one more thing, as I'm walking, okay? Obama's about to go to jail. I'm just going to say that right now. All that bullshit, all that deep state foolishness, all that gloating, and now they found all the evidence that they needed to put that motherfucker away and a few other people for the rest of their lives. A lot of y'all, listen, Obama should have never fucked with Trump back in 2011 at that White House Correspondents' Dinner. Obama really thought he was hot shit. But here he decided to go fucking with that man for no reason at all. A lot of y'all gonna have a stroke when that man is perp walked on national television. It's gonna happen real soon. Might happen for Black History Month. But I'm telling y'all right now, Barack Obama is going to jail. James Clapper is going to jail. John Brennan is going to jail. James Comey, they're all going down. And y'all gonna be upset. Some of y'all are gonna crash the fuck out very, very soon.
Crash the fuck out.
I'm here for all of it.
Yes, subscribe.
You guys, you know what I'm saying? Obama's in trouble. The Black Messiah is in trouble. And I'm going to go ahead and continue with some more info. This is from Fox. Let's go. Like and subscribe.
Joining me now to react is the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Director Gabbard, give me your response to what...
This is from X as well. This video I showed you is Isaiah. That's from X, and this is from X as well.
We heard from former President Obama there. He's saying that none of this makes any sense, that this is a distraction. What do you say to that?
It's the art of deflection coming from former President Obama, as well as his friends who are still in Congress today, and Senator Warner and Congressman Jim Himes, really all basically saying that exact same statement, which doesn't actually address the issue that was revealed in great detail in the over 100 documents that we released last week, and the documents that we will be releasing later this week, that point to the undeniable fact that you laid out.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Hero. Thank you, everybody.
The community had one assessment, that Russia did not have the intent or capability to try to impact the outcome of the U.S. election leading up to Election Day. The same assessment was made after Donald Trump was elected by the American people as president in 2016, defeating Hillary Clinton. And it wasn't until after that polled President's Daily Brief document that you referenced that the Principals Committee was called.
Hope you guys like the videos, man. Hope you guys like it, man.
And President Obama then directed Obama.
I did a video on this as well, probably like 2 weeks ago, about the Obama hoax, the Russian hoax. Check it out.
Obama's DNI James Clapper to lead the effort to create this new intelligence community assessment that detailed not if, but how Moscow attempted to influence the outcome of the U.S. election. So this is the thing that I think people should.
Yeah, this is like October 3rd. March 3rd, I did this. March 3rd.
Neither the statements.
They've been talking about this since March.
Congress today and their friends in the propaganda media, none of them are addressing this fact that there was a shift, 180-degree shift from the intelligence community's assessment leading up to the election to the one that President Obama directed be produced after Donald Trump won the election that completely contradicted those assessments that had come previously. The second thing I want to address that's very important, Laura, is that you in the clip that you played, you saw John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey stated with high confidence this January intelligence.
That's probably why Michelle ain't around him lately. Every time an event lady comes up, Michelle not around. Obama goes to the events by himself, while all the other presidents' wives, they right there with him. Something going on.
Community assessment that they drafted at the direction of President Obama. The fact is that they used already discredited information like the Steele dossier. They knew it was discredited at that time, yet they used it as a source for this document that they claim to have high confidence in. They used intelligence that some of these intelligence community professionals rejected previously because of the lack of credibility and the lack of the ability to vet with any kind of confidence whether or not that information or intelligence was accurate and could be used for an assessment. There's a long laundry list of facts and intelligence reporting that directly contradict the statement coming from President Obama's office and those who are trying to deflect away from what actually happened, which was after Donald Trump was elected, led by President Obama, there was an effort to create a document that would serve as a foundation for what would be a years-long coup against President Trump, therefore trying to subvert the will of the American people who sent him to the White House in 2016.
It's amazing that you are now releasing all of this. And Tulsi, I have to tell you, for those of us who lived through it, thank you. I think it's great that we're getting this information out. You say there is more information, there are more documents to be released. Anything you can tell us on that?
Hey, who all involved? Lock them all up. Lock them up, get the mud shots. Get the mud shots. Y'all did it to Trump and his camp, his team and all that. Do the same thing to Obama's. Oh, yeah. Come on. Let's get it. Get the mud shots. Let's do it.
We will be releasing these documents shortly in the wake of the release that we did last week. I'm very encouraged by the fact that we have whistleblowers coming forward who are intelligence community professionals who were there when this happened and who were disgusted by it and are heartened at the possibility and the hope that the truth will see the light of day. And of course, the most important thing is that the American people see accountability, which is why we're referring and have already sent all of the documents that we have currently and any others that we get in the future to the Department of Justice to bring about that accountability, to ensure that the integrity of our democratic republic exists, that the American people can have faith and trust that who they vote for in our elections to be elected will actually be respected by those who are leaving power.
Amen to that. Well, Director.
Amen to that. That's what's up. Yeah, I just want to share that with you guys. This is crazy. You know what I'm saying? If Obama's bogus, get his mud shot and go from there. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's insane, man. Like and subscribe. Thank you.
Of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, releasing a bombshell report today that shows a conspiracy by a sitting president, Barack Obama, and his intel agencies to sabotage the president-elect, Donald Trump, brainwash the electorate, and undermine the legitimacy of an election.
There is irrefutable evidence that details
Subscribe. You guys haven't already. Subscribe.
Team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
Crazy stuff, y'all. Obama is bogus. I voted for Obama that first time. The second time I didn't, which I never did. Did the dummy vote because he was black. I'm a Democrat. But you can see I'm MAGA. I'm ultra MAGA, baby. Stop voting blue no matter who. They did Trump bogus, man.
Help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't.
Gabbard got her hands on a House intel report that's been locked away in a CIA vault for almost a decade. Investigators spent over 2,000 hours looking into how the Russia hoax was born, interviewing 20 CIA and FBI officials. And it turns out that the Obama administration doctored the intelligence to make it look like Trump stole the election. A month after Trump beat Hillary, Barack Obama wasn't satisfied with his intelligence reporting and ordered his CIA director to create a new assessment of how Russia interfered with the election. This was a highly unusual move. John Brennan handpicked 5 CIA analysts to write the assessment, and they were siloed. None of them knew what the other was doing. And only one analyst was in charge of drafting this report. There was nothing routine about this, and it was a rush job to publish before Trump was sworn in. Nothing was coordinated with the other intelligence agencies either. Basically, this was home cooking for Barack Obama. There were 4 key elements from the assessment that were repeated over and over again and formed the basis of the Russia hoax and the Robert Mueller witch hunt. 1, that Vladimir Putin won.
Again, this is a month ago I did this video. A month ago.
Donald Trump to win. 2, Putin took action to help Trump win. 3, the Russians had blackmail on Trump. That was the Steele dossier. And 4, that the Russians tried colluding with the Trump campaign. None of any of this was ever true.
How come only Fox News reporting this? Oh, because it doesn't fit the other narratives. At least Fox News showed transparency.
There was no reliable intelligence to support any of these allegations. Senior CIA officials repeatedly refused to traffic in these allegations, but they were repeatedly overruled by CIA Director Brennan and FBI Director Comey, who insisted that they be pushed, even without verifiable evidence. The Obama administration cherry-picked the intelligence, lied about their sources, misquoted sources, didn't corroborate their claims, suppressed intelligence that ran counter to their narratives, and even used a...
Yeah, they said the Hunter Biden laptop was false, all that. Just straight lying to us the whole 4 years. Lied to us. Now the truth is coming out, finally.
Anonymous internet postings. Rank and file CIA admitted what they were doing violated their own tradecraft standards. There was a massive pressure campaign that came right from the top. CIA analysts say they received unusual directives from political appointees, the CIA director, and Obama himself. This is how the Russia hoax was born.
Donald Trump knows that the Russians helped him win in 2016.
Putin hated Secretary Clinton so much that the flip side of that coin was he had a clear preference for the person running against the person he hated so much.
It was Russia in a very systematic way in trying to interfere in the election and to try to advance the prospects of Donald Trump being elected.
This was such a malicious disinformation campaign perpetrated on the American people that at one point, 60% of Democrats believed the Russians hacked our voting machines to help Trump win the White House.
Wow.
What this report actually shows is that the Russians just wanted to create chaos and undermine Americans' faith in democracy.
Right. He
suggested that
he auto-pinned Hunter Biden. He auto-pinned Dr. Fauci. A lot of other people. His brother. If they was innocent, why are you auto-pinning them? Executive orders. Trump didn't do that for his family.
Vladimir Putin didn't care who won. He had no preference.
Wow.
But like most people, expected Hillary to win and had a little docket of compromising dirt on her, dirt that he never released. Now, if Putin wanted Trump to win, why didn't Putin drop the dirt?
There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump.
Now, if Clinton was on tranquilizers like the Russians believed, then why didn't they leak it to help Trump win?
How credible was the information? All I have seen is what the intelligence committee have reported through their investigation.
I saw this on X. I figured I'd share this with you guys. So I was on X yesterday, and I see it's going to repost again on X. So I figured I'd share this with you guys and share this information because it's needed.
The underlying point there is that we understand from intelligence what Russia said that they had, And the important point here is that if they were trying to influence the election, as President Obama and James Clapper and John Brennan, everybody said they were doing in order to support Donald Trump's election, they would have released the most damning of that information.
Obama and his spy chiefs knew that Putin didn't prefer Trump over Hillary, but they cooked the intelligence to make it look like he did. Obama and his intel spies knew that Putin didn't collude with Trump and that he didn't even direct his people to help Trump win. But they put it out there anyway.
Let's see, Waters becoming
In a
with us,
sense,
guys.
Barack Obama did exactly what Putin wanted, undermined Americans' faith in free and fair elections and caused chaos in our country. Barack Obama, the CIA, and the FBI were the ones doing what our enemy wanted.
This is why we need IDs.
Do you believe that any of this new
as well.
information implicates former
All
President
states.
Obama in criminal behavior?
The IDs.
Have referred and will
Voter
continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this. The evidence, correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment.
Divider
There
and
are
chief.
multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Even 2 years later,
Subscribe,
after the
subscribe.
election, Barack Obama was still pushing a hoax he knew wasn't true. And he knew it wasn't true because he helped manufacture it.
They're undermining our alliances, cozying up to Russia. What happened to the Republican Party? They're cozying up to the former head of the KGB. Actively blocking legislation that would defend our elections from Russian attack. What happened?
Now, I don't know if it's possible to indict a former president for actions he took while in office. I'm not a lawyer, proudly. But Brennan, Comey, and others may have severe liability. Trey Gowdy says we know for a fact that Brennan committed perjury when he lied to Congress.
Director Brennan, did you know who commissioned the Steele dossier? I don't. You know if the Bureau ever relied on the Steele dossier as part of any court filings, applications? I have no awareness.
Wow.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No.
Why not?
Because we didn't. It wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had.
You can
It
tag
was
the
not in
background.
any way used as a
tail.
basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done. It was not.
No, that's a lie. Whatever happens to these guys is not revenge. It's accountability. And it's time for people to pay the price.
All right, you guys, I wanted to share that with you. That's crazy. Fox News becomes the receipts. People be hating on Fox, but it comes with the receipts, man. Stacey Jesse, Guthrie. I'm going to go ahead and end this, guys. I'm going to go ahead and cut my grass. It's about that time. I really appreciate you guys. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you. I'll be back.